Freedom Construction, Ringside MD, Clear Air Solutions, and our newest sponsor, CDN Technologies. If you'd like to talk to Humble and Fred, call 1-833-437-8465. That's 1-833-HF-STINK. And now from the worldwide headquarters of the Humble and Fred Show, here are Humble and Fred.
Great job, Phil.
Phil did all of that. Great job. Woo! Here we are. It's October, and soon it'll be November. Do you think things start getting serious after Labor Day? I think things start getting serious when, you get into October, November, because, you're going to start shoveling things soon.
Yeah, that's a good point. We've often had snowfalls in November. So that possibility exists.
Hang on a second. Let's reconfigure the microphones.
Gotta
Welcome, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Humble and Fred Show, where some of the equipment, some of the equipment we have was purchased at a garage sale. Wonder why all of a sudden that microphone
Who
2
knows?
days in a row.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows?
No, we've
say?
had snow in November before. Not to steal Dan Duran's thunder.
Yes,
Because he'll be coming up. But we have had snow in November. I don't even need to tell you that. You know that. So, and that's the next month on the calendar. So deal with it.
that's what I'm saying. Ralph Benmergui will be here. He's our guest today. Always an interesting conversation. We can unpack. You love that phrase. I heard somebody say it on the radio the other day. I thought of you. Somebody actually said, well, let's unpack this. Oh, really? How about you just tell us?
Yeah.
Unpack at home.
You need a box cutter. Mm-hmm.
And a deep dive. I heard that on the debate last night. And the other one is drill down.
Drill down, deep dive. Here, sometimes when people want to pause, they'll say things like, okay, well, let's put a pin in that. Just for a second. Let's put a pin in it. Yeah.
Oh, I haven't heard that one.
Oh, yeah.
I like that.
Ralph will be here to deep dive and unpack all kind of things. He's worked with it versus the rest of us. We do nothing, but he's actually worked with a political party.
Yeah. He's one of those guys, right, where you look at some of the things he's done or he's doing and you think, how does he do that? Like, I mean, how do you, he sometimes leaves his house 2 and 3 times in a day.
Mm-hmm. No, it's too much.
How do you do that? Where do you get the time?
Did you, were you outside yesterday at all? Doing things around the house?
Not really. I've got a little bit of a tightness and soreness in my upper chest, so I laid low yesterday.
Buddy.
Yeah.
You okay?
Oh yeah, it's just a little cold, that's all. So I just took it easy.
Somebody else told me, who was it? Dave White has a cold now, too.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know why. I haven't been around anyone with a cold, I don't think.
Your kids. The grandkids.
Well, I didn't see them leading up to the virus. But it's one of those things.
You know what? Just be lucky it's only a cold. Over here, I got so many things.
I know.
I don't even know where to start. What I've been thinking.
How much are we giving away here?
I don't know, man.
How much to unpin?
I'm very concerned.
I don't think you are.
What do you mean?
I don't think you're very concerned.
Can we say?
I don't know. Sure.
They're going to have a look at your pancreas. Now that, to me, I'm very alarmed at that. His pancreas.
Oh, yeah.
Howie.
Well, pancreas, you're done.
Howie.
I'm going to be retiring before you.
Howie. And I'm thinking, my God, I hope it's not pancreas. He still hasn't got a hole in one.
No, you imagine? I go there and they say you've got... Because here's the thing about pancreas is they don't really do anything until it's too late. Mm-hmm. Like, I've got some kind of abdominal disorder. I don't know what it is. It's not gallstones. It's not... they did a whole bunch of checking, but now I've got to go back for some more tests. And I was telling Fred, I'm uncomfortable sort of most of the day now because every time I eat, whatever is triggered gets triggered. So I'm constantly between the stages of discomfort and then hunger. And then anything, I'm going to try and cut out dairy now for a bit, see if that's something.
How much dairy would you have drank?
Drank?
Or consumed?
Well, I have yogurt every morning, and
I stopped the yogurt.
What do you have in the morning now?
I just have a little bit of wheat and oats and some berries.
Well, that's what I had this morning, and bananas. I don't know. I'm going to try all kind of things because something is amiss. Even though mostly I feel okay. I mean, I feel a little bit I have a low-grade feeling constantly of being a little bit fluish. You know that feeling where you're like kind of a low, dull headache?
It's no way to live, Howard.
No. I mean, I can still golf through it. Let's not be silly. Although I played golf yesterday, and I was really uncomfortable, and that's why I went from the golf course right to my doctor's office. And I said, what? Can we do something? Can we explore some other options? So we are. And as I told you, I've lost, nearly 7 pounds or 6 pounds in the last, I don't know when, like sort of end of August to now. I'm 6 pounds less than I was, which isn't. It's not normal for me. I mean, I'll lose a couple of pounds, gain a couple of pounds, 3 or 4 either way, but not 6. So that's what I'm going to tell you all. That's what I'm telling you all.
Yeah, that's, when you have that inexplicable weight loss, the alarm bells go off. And then, as I say, then you add they're going to have a look at your pancreas. I mean, it's, I don't think I'll sleep tonight.
Well, I was lucky. I woke up at like 3:30, laid there thinking, okay, so if I have pancreas issues, what's the first thing I'm going to do? Well, I'm going to cash in a bunch of money. Then I don't know. I'm just going to go golf all the courses I want before it's over.
And I hope you get a hole-in-one.
And then try and get a hole-in-one?
Everybody deserves. Someone that's golfed as much as you have, as passionately as you have. Why can't you have a hole-in-one?
I know. It's bizarre.
There's my buddy's sisters golfed 4 times and had a hole-in-one. Isn't that, that's one of the things about that game you often bring up. Any given day, any given hole, right? You can look like a pro.
But isn't that great? Your buddy's sisters played 4 times. And I have so many people that have told me stories like, yeah, my cousin, he was out. Yeah. He's golfed 3 years. Got a hole. My older brother's gotten a hole-in-one with me.
And this wasn't a real short par 3. Like it was it was a regulation par 3. She had no idea what she was doing. She just wound up, whacked it, and it rolled in the hole.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, so mark this down. I don't know.
Mark what down?
This Tuesday, October 8th. This could be the conversation you play, like,
Could there may not now. There may never be another October 8th.
Maybe. Yeah. That's right. And you'll be like, "Oh yeah, that was the day." He announced that at first
that'll be a wild podcast.
Oh yeah.
The memorial podcast. It'll be great. Get a lot of guests in here. They can all tell stories. Mm-hmm.
And you can find out how many people have had hole-in-ones.
Mm-hmm. And then 10 years from now, we'll have another party.
I don't think so.
Call it the Powie for Howie. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah. We'll make some good out of this, Howie. You don't worry.
I can't read that comment, Sean. Is there some reason why all...
You could live many decades with pancreas issues.
Oh, yeah? Is that what they say?
That's comforting.
Good. Mm-hmm. Great. Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, if it was just my stomach, it's felt like this now for weeks and weeks and weeks. Even after I went to the hospital, the week fall, I started feeling a little bit better, but something's irritating me. No, something's irritating my stomach. Something's always irritating me. But anyway, that's not what today's show is about. Today's about the election, and today's about debate. Sean Sargent is our Twitch producer. He's going to weigh in with his his check.
He's going to summarize the debate.
The debate.
Oh, great.
He's going to tell us what he thinks, what he got from it.
I watched most of it too, and now, of course, I'm going to summarize it.
Good luck. Man. I can't wait.
I watched all of it, 2 hours. I was just, I'm fascinated by the non-event of it all. Mm-hmm. Like, it's amazing. 2 hours of these people yapping each other, and it ends, and it's like, what was accomplished here other than nothing?
Commercial free, right?
Yeah.
They
Sorry,
literally
Phil, what's that?
commercial free too.
Well, let's get into the debate a little bit later, but just so you know, Sean's going to summarize it. We've got a couple of clips for you to I didn't watch any of it.
I'm sure Benmergui will have something to say
Exactly.
Yes.
I binged watched that show that Brio recommended.
Which one?
Fleabag. Mm-hmm. Do it.
The whole show?
Well, I watched to season 1. It's like 6 episodes. I just started season 2. They're only like 25-minute episodes, but she's very sexy, very funny, very smart. I don't know. Are you allowed to say she's totally my type?
Sure.
You know, dark hair, crazy. And she won 3 Emmys: writer, actress, and something else.
Is that Netflix?
It is Amazon,
Prime.
and I think Netflix just signed a $20 million deal with this young lady. She's 34 years old. Ooh. And it's interesting because Lou Skeeza sent me an article about how Canadian productions are going to need to be more sort of like that production, very sort of small, not expensive, creator driven. Have you seen it, Sean?
No, but it's popped up in my suggestions. So
Yeah.
if you liked it, I think I'll like
You'll
it.
really dig it.
It says it's from BBC, though.
It is BBC. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's the kind of thing that it's the kind of production we could have easily done here in Canada. It's not super star driven. It's just but it's just really unique and interesting. She speaks to the camera quite a bit. In the first episode, in the first episode, she's having sex.
No, I'm just looking to see who she is.
Oh,
I
yeah.
recognize her.
Yeah, you do?
From something, yeah.
Well, she hosted Saturday Night Live.
Oh, maybe.
This past weekend.
Oh.
Yeah.
But the first episode begins while she's talking to the camera while she's having sex.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I'm
it's-
not big on that concept, but
But she doesn't overdo it.
okay, good.
She does it a little bit more in the beginning, so she establishes that she's going to be
Right.
talking to us, and then as the series goes on, it's just the odd look to camera, but it's great.
What was the Kevin Spacey one, the president?
House of Cards.
House of Cards.
Yeah.
When he'd talk into the camera, I didn't like that. No. I didn't like that.
Breaking the fourth wall, like talking to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that's one part I didn't like. But if it's a comedy, be different.
Well, like again, how do I get rid of that so I can see? Like, what do I do? This button?
And what does Fleabag come from?
No, I don't. Oh no, hang on, Sean. Sorry, Freddie. I was trying to get the where the so I can see the feed.
So Fleabag is a BBC series that was onboarded by Amazon.
No, I know.
Yes.
But the British do television very well. Mm-hmm. It's often when you're watching a Canadian production, you just think, I got a feeling this is Canadian.
Yeah.
The British really do. They do TV like the Americans.
They know how to build a setting in
Yeah.
comparison.
So I can't see.
They really do.
Yeah, they do, and that's why, like I said, Lou sent me the article. It could have been produced in Canada. I mean,
I know what you mean. I know what you mean by that.
like it's not high production value, and
Not high budget.
it's just smart.
Yes.
Anyway, now some other people have seen it. I was going to go Peaky Blinders because you've started watching it, but then I saw that this thing was only a couple quick seasons. Like really, it's
See, I was just gonna say, no sweat. You got lots of time to see Peaky Blinders, and then I'm thinking maybe not.
maybe not.
Maybe not.
Dan Duran time. Pancreas.
Howard only saw 2 seasons of Peaky Blinders.
Dang.
And then the pancreas won.
Yeah.
Peaky Pancreas.
And listen, we often make light of each other dying. And even if you
We do?
Yes. Oh yeah, remember we did that whole cancer bit not long ago with me.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. And the thing is, even if we did lose him, he wouldn't care. And it would just be more content
Exactly.
afterwards. And I know that he'd be somewhere smiling down upon me.
Yes.
From
that's
heaven.
right.
From heaven. From heaven. How he's heaven.
Why, Phil? What's going on today, Phil? Why can't I get to the screen? I want to call.
You have to press end that
Oh,
and
here
then
we go.
call
Dan
again.
Duran time.
It's leftover from the other day.
No, I know.
Do-dee-doo.
It's your pancreas calling.
That's right. Hello, Pancreas Hotline. Dan Duran.
Yes, Dan Duran is here.
Dan Duran time. Hang on a second. Let me get your theme music.
Oh, I thought it was playing already.
No.
Oh.
No, we're talking about the fact that I'm possibly dying of some kind of pancreas issue.
Are you really?
Am I really dying, or do I have a pancreas issue?
You have a pancreas issue?
I don't know. Now I'm having tests, more tests.
I thought it was a herniated...
Yeah. I got that
something
too.
or other.
I got a lot of stuff going on down there.
Oh, this is piling it on that issue as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So you got lots of layers going on.
Oh, yeah, multi-layered. Hang on a second. Let me introduce you officially.
Dan Duran's weather, Dan Duran. Dan Duran's weather, Dan Duran. Dan Duran's weather, Dan Duran. Dan Duran's weather, Dan Duran.
There we go. Now we got it. Now we got it.
Oh, okay, the show's coming together.
Joe? Yeah, that's right. Are you okay, Dan? I know your man Trudeau was on TV last night. Now, I didn't see it, but what costume was he wearing?
Oh, I can answer that.
Hang on a second. Fred Patterson has the answer.
He dressed up as a knob. It was very good.
Interesting.
Oh, did he really?
Now, Dan Duran, Andy Shearer. Is there any way that is it Andrew? I like to call him
Andrew,
Andy.
I believe, yeah.
Is there any way that Andrew Shearer could sway you and
To
bring
get
you
my
over
vote.
to the light?
Very slim. It depends what happens in the next couple of weeks, I guess.
Very slim. You'd vote for Elizabeth May before you'd vote for
My question
Andrew
is,
Shearer.
Freddie, what do you think?
There's a space cadet for you, Elizabeth May. It's like, wow, what world is she living in? But
What do you think will happen first? Dan Duran votes PC. Phil goes to the dentist.
oh, Dan Duran PC.
Phil has voted against the dentist. He doesn't want to
Really?
go. No, he doesn't want to go to
Against
the dentist.
Hasn't he got a lot? Hasn't he got a lot of things going on that he needs? Clean teeth for?
Now I'm worried about Phil's, because your dental health can contribute to your physical.
Oh, without a doubt.
I mean, this is no joke. As you get older, you have bacteria in your mouth that can cause heart attacks. And that's a true story.
That's true.
Phil.
Your mouth
Yeah.
can be a liar and a phony, so I got to see the dentist.
Yes. All right. Well, good.
And we're only into month 7 of that.
Month 8.
Month 7 of the dentist episode.
Yeah. And it's been how many years since you've been there? 16?
16.
1492.
So,
That's
Dan,
ridiculous.
Yeah, I'd hate to be the hygienist for that initial
you're
visit.
going to need a miner's helmet.
A team is going to
You're
need
going to be
a
like
team.
chipping away at stuff that's been there since the mid-2000s. It's like, Phil, here's a bit of a dumpling.
There's the financial crisis. Oh.
So the dad will still say, well, somebody go back and close that septic tank lid.
Right? She'll find like a piece of a thermite paint chip from Building 7.
Hey, and you know why? You remember remember the whole bit root of his prowess of Chairman Mao?
Oh, yeah.
Got a lot of that.
Yep.
That's right.
Maybe some yeast, maybe some bacteria, maybe some bread.
That's right. The hygienist will go back. It's like hour 3 of cleaning Phil's teeth. She goes, I just found something. I'm not sure
I
what
just found a loaf of bread.
It's Dempster's.
That's right. I just found a loaf of bread in this man's mouth. Dan,
Yes.
I know this is not the reputation you like to be associated with, the silliness, but
Dan's
this is all
very
we got.
highbrow.
I know, he is
He's highbrow.
I know.
Yes.
So did you watch I didn't watch it, Dan. Did you watch the leaders debate last night?
No, I didn't watch it. I just knew it was going to be a whole lot of nothing. Going to be
That's true.
One statement after another that's all engineered, and the debates aren't debates anymore. There's like with that many people on stage to begin with, and then everybody's got their positions. They're not having a meaningful discussion about the issues, which is what they're really supposed to be about. I think it's just too quick.
And that never happens. So I don't even know why they bother with those debates. I don't. Because the thing is, too, and the incumbent usually, and I'm not just picking on Trudeau because they all do it, the incumbent never answers the question. Like, it was unbelievable last night. You ask him a direct question, he talks for 40 seconds and doesn't answer the question. But that's technique.
The Lavalin, what's the first D in?
SNC Lavalin.
SNC Lavalin. Did that come up last night at all?
I
No.
believe, in
Not really.
passing, maybe.
Just the ethics part of it.
Because to me, that's one issue that I kind of remember, that there was, I mean, I couldn't tell. I know he intervened on behalf of the company, and he was trying to get the Attorney General to do something. But how is that not the first thing that comes up?
Well, they brought it up, the SNC-Lavalin, only when they were talking about Indigenous affairs. That was the only one that they really talked about it. Mm-hmm. So when they were talking about the pipeline, they were talking about
Jody Wilson-Raybould.
Yeah, Jody Wilson-Raybould, and it was the only Indigenous person that's been in that position, and you fired her. So,
all right,
that's the part.
Hey, Dan, I was thinking something too. You know, you're a huge environmentalist, apparently. I haven't seen it, but anyway.
Except when he fires golf balls into the lake.
Yeah, and you were saying the other day you're thinking of getting a new car, and you said I'd like to get a hybrid. But I was thinking between now and then, you know, right at the bottom of County Road 10 there's a Go Bus stop. Whenever you come into the city, you could just take the Go Bus. Just think, you wouldn't be contributing to the your carbon footprint. You could take public transit into the city and back. That's one solution. How about that?
You know, it's a
Denderans weather.
I think that would make you feel good.
Absolutely.
You wouldn't be using your car. It'd be great.
That's right. Then I'll come pick you up on the TTC.
Because being environmentally conscious, it has nothing to do with convenience, of course. We just
right.
Dan?
Yes.
We only have about 2.5 minutes left. So I know there's a lot that's gone on. Pancreas, politics, transit. Is there? Would you favor us with a forecast or two, sir?
A little bit of the weather?
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be nice until Friday.
Wow.
And then Saturday it's going to get cooler. There's a low pressure system. It's really, Western Canada is really having a fun time this year.
Yeah, more snow coming.
Yeah, there's a snowfall warning in effect in Calgary right now. There's a Colorado low or an Alberta low, kind of both areas have got lows coming towards us, and it's pulling a lot of cold air from the north as well. There's a huge amount of air just coming in. There's sort of a dividing line, sort of western Ontario, right around Winnipeg, where it's from there on in west, it's cold. For us, it's going to be like a little bit warmer than normal, like maybe a degree or two kind of thing, depending where you are. Still 18, for example, in Toronto for the next bunch of days. And then by Saturday, things will dip down a little bit as we get a little tiny bit of rain.
Well, you know what it is, Danny?
What's that?
It's the Sky Muppet is looking down upon me, and he knows that this is he or she knows could be my last golf season. So the Sky Muppet's saying, okay, I'm going to make it nice in Ontario for the Howman.
Right.
And then,
Would you normally golf on Thanksgiving weekend then?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Dude.
Right into November.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There'll be golf here in southern Ontario. Legit, like, courses till the end of October, even early November. And a lot of other courses, Mayfields and the Deer Field, wherever on QEW, they'll be open.
I think it was 2 or 3 years ago that me and a couple of guys, December 2nd, we golfed at Lakeview.
Yeah, for sure.
Because remember it was a really mild fall.
One winter, not that long ago, maybe the one, like I took you to Florida with me, like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, something like that. Mm-hmm. And when we came back, I golfed in Ontario until another week or so, like just before Christmas. Mm-hmm. So, Dan, it's all good. Dan Duran at danduran.com. Everyone, congratulations to Dan.
For what?
For another stellar appearance.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, well, thank you.
And
you know what? Our research is showing that we get a real pop when you come on.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
We do.
Our Twitch audience doubles from 3 to 6.
That's awesome.
You know what they say about Dan Duran? He moves the needle.
Oh, yeah, he's a needle mover.
He moves the needle.
And he moves it without his hands.
You call that a needle?
Hey, oh, Colorado low.
Come on.
Oh.
Yeah,
Dan, open that
more
door.
like the space needle.
Dan will open the door for you. Oh, yeah. Hey, Dan.
Yep.
You're a good boy.
And you are too.
Thanks,
Welcome
Dan.
back to Canada, by the way.
All right,
Don't forget about my idea for lessening your carbon footprint.
That's
Dan.
right.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Appreciate those. Keeps those thoughts and prayers coming.
Thoughts and prayers for the planet. It's Humble and Fred Radio. We're live on Funny 820 and around the world at humbleandfredradio.com. Hold on, everyone. We'll be right back. one. Thanks, Dan.
See you later.
How's Colton?
He's doing good. He's
Yeah, of course. Good. Your goddaughter is doing great. She's actually, it's cool because I saw her all weekend, and then she's coming here on Friday for her 1 week a month. Yeah, so it'll end up being, it's funny because she's going to arrive Friday and leave the following Sunday, so she's going to be here for like 9 days a month now, which is great.
Lovely.
Fantastic.
It's so fucking good.
Like even if she lived here, you wouldn't see her.
What's that, Danny? She does, but I think this time she's going to stay half of the time with her boyfriend. But Fred was right. I would see her probably a couple times a month for a full visit, maybe one other time for a coffee. I'm going to see her more now. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, she's great. We had a great time, and maybe we'll see you soon. Yeah. All right, Dan.
All right, Dan. Thanks.
Bye, Danny. Yeah.
Oh,
No, man. That's working out good because we need. And then it's good because we wait the two bar like the intro.
You ever throw a cigarette
and
on the
then
ground?
we go. It's perfect.
that's perfect.
We need to work out some harmonies, Phil, after the show.
But
So what about your environmental concerns?
of course.
When you take a drag of a cigarette and you put that toxic smoke into the air, what about environmental concern? It all starts with us.
Yeah. What about when you
I
throw your
disagree
butts on the
with that
ground?
fact.
Oh,
I disagree with
turn
that.
on your
You disagree.
I think it starts from industry and everything changing.
No,
I can't
it
live in
starts
a
grassroots.
As a consumer, I can't live in a society that supports fossil fuels. Fossil fuels have to not be used. We have to change how industry works.
No more gas plants.
It all starts with
Planes run on
Why
fuel.
are they
If they
Don't take a plane.
if
Oh
they
my
didn't
God.
run on fuel,
Don't take a plane.
if they didn't run on fuel, we
Stubborn
wouldn't be
fucker,
burning the
they
fossil
stand.
fuels, and it's not up to the consumer to make that
Did
decision.
you watch the debate?
Yes, yes, it is.
Oh my God.
So I can choose to
Well, bless
not take
you
part
for
in
that.
society. That
I just
doesn't
don't know how
make
people
me.
watch people argue.
Sean, you
That's-
could refuse to take airplanes, and then if enough people did it, then that would end the airplane.
Which is
business.
I could go live in a
France.
cabin up north and then I have no carbon footprint.
Right.
But that's
Solar-
not what it's about. It's
But when
about
you have-
reducing everyone's carbon footprint. You have to be able to live in society in 2019.
Okay, before you guys, just before the break's over, come here. This was never like that before. Like this.
They must have changed the layout.
Yeah,
They changed everything on Twitch. Twitch is new now.
Oh, okay. Because this isn't. I can't see these.
I know, yeah, it's blocking it. I'm trying to get rid of that. 'cause
Yeah, like it's fucking weird, dude.
there's nothing.
What's
That's all
that?
changed. That just
Well, the view has changed. That's why I couldn't see the.
In what way?
on Twitch it's different.
There's like a
Twitch updated.
Yeah. What? It looks like a
And it
Buddhist
just looks
funeral
weird now, and you can't see half the chat. Whoa! Too many things at once.
What I know is there shouldn't
See,
be
even all this just looks
Canadian
different
green
already.
Loblaws bags
And
in
then
Malaysia.
Go to the channel and it's
I'm talking about green.
How did they get there? So,
Canadian companies sent ships there because they would buy the recycling off of municipal
Right.
governments, and then instead of actually recycling it, they sent it off to some random.
But see, that's where
country.
we are with the environment. Everybody's waiting for the other
Yeah,
guy to-
people don't reuse. They think of recycling first, and then when you do that over the brink, unfortunately, people can't recycle anymore. There's no process for it anymore.
I
So
don't know how to remove that.
the funny thing is, the most green people on earth right now are Southern grandmas down in Alabama reusing their butter containers.
Huh?
Because we're all thinking, if we throw it in the bin, it'll line
it's
recycling, and it doesn't, right?
Freddie, just do strain print on. That'll be the only one here.
Yes,
Just
yes,
think of it.
yes.
I proposed to my
yes,
wife beside a
yes.
hill where there was Canadian garbage on it. I said, what are you kidding? You want to be green? We got to stop drinking from water.
So yeah, is there any way you can
I'm trying
adjust
to
that?
remove it. That's what I'm trying to do now. It's bugging me too. I can't see the chat either.
Last night I took not NyQuil. What is the Vicks?
Oh yeah, Vapor. No, Dayquil. Because Vicks
Something
is
like
either
that.
Dayquil or NyQuil. It's one of them.
And
They're working
No,
out.
I slept and I feel really dopey. I could still from last night feel dopey because
yeah,
of
if you're
that?
not used to taking it, for sure.
Oh
Yeah.
shit!
Oh, here we go. Oh, if it's NyQuil, it's dihemophenamine, which is the same from sleeping pills.
Not right away. Hey, just give it. It'll be a couple seconds here before I throw it to you.
Waiting for me.
Why is his microphone all of a sudden
I'm
doing
thinking it
that?
might be the cable being pulled over and over again. That might be the reason why. Like something's.
As you're driving around southern Ontario, we're plowed. We're plowed. We're plowed. We're plowed. This is how it starts, Phil. This is what Pancreas does to you. We're proud and pleased to have you along with us. We're as surprised as you are that we're still doing this. It's good. Funny 820, the Bell family of radio stations that carry this show, we certainly appreciate it. And we're plowed.
This Pancreas thing bothers me a bit because so often you hear stories about stuff that falls between the cracks, right? It's like, but wait a minute, it's Pancreas. I thought he had a bunch of tests prior. Yeah, he did, but they didn't look at the pancreas. Well, I thought they did. Well, they said they might have, but they never had a really good look at the pancreas. Well, I don't think so. Well, how could that happen? That's what the conversation would be like.
And by the way,
now we've lost him.
That's a short clip from Fred Patterson's one-man play, The Pancreas, where he has a conversation about pancreas.
Right. And I speak right to the camera.
That's right. He breaks down the fourth and fifth wall, where he speaks directly to the camera, and you're supposed to know what's going on inside his head. Barker's here. Barker's downstairs putting on the makeup. Hello. Putting on. Yeah. So wait a second. Are you trying to tell me that Justin Trudeau did not wear? Was he not dressed as a? Was he not wearing any makeup?
Who? Trudeau?
JT.
He had a solid base on.
Solid makeup base. Barker will be here in a second,
Little concealer.
doing some Barker talk. First, let's talk about our good friends at Strain Print, Freddie.
Hey, the Strain Print app could be easily downloaded at all the regular places. And you want this app because it will show you how to use cannabis better. With the free companion app, it'll help you learn how much more rewarding and beneficial your experience with cannabis can be. Whatever ails you, you have a problem, you can just, put in that problem, and Strain Print will give you an idea of what type of remedy you need in the cannabis world. All right, strainprint.ca is where to go. Follow them on Twitter or Instagram. Again, Facebook as well. Strain Print. If you've thought about using cannabis to make yourself feel better, do it through Strain Print. The answers are there.
Also broadcasting on twitch.com if you want to watch the show, and as well on Facebook. I mentioned Fleabag, and I just was able to read some of those comments. It is, it's great, and you'll like it right away. Have you seen it?
I watched the pilot, and then I said to Marco, wait for me, and we'll watch it all together.
Yeah, I watched the first season last night. She's great.
I'm with you. I hated that part of House of Cards, Fred.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it wears on me, but I didn't mind it so much in the pilot of Fleabag, so we'll see.
She does it a lot in that first episode, and then she backs it off as the episodes, because once she's established that she once in a while will include you.
Yeah.
I actually like that part of House and Cards. Actually, to tell you the truth, I enjoyed the fact that every once in a while he did it, and again, as the seasons wore on, he did it less and less.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was such a compelling show and so up my alley as far as the political and the drama, and then all of a sudden it seemed like when he would do that, it was like too much levity or something.
To me, it always felt like a bad community theater Tennessee Williams play. Whenever he would do, like, no, I'm going to tell you. Like,
especially
no,
with
I'm
that
good.
accent.
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, you know what I love? One of the things I love about her, Phoebe Waller-Bryce, or whatever her name is.
Is that her name?
Something like that. There's a hyphen. She did that show in the Fringe. She did Fleabag in the Fringe.
Yeah,
and
a couple of weeks.
And it got panned. Critics hated it. So that's to me fantastic, because for anybody who's ever done something and everybody's like, wow, that's a doozy.
Well, and it's interesting. I just don't. I guess it was like a one-woman show
At Edinburgh.
and just, using that character but I liked it immediately, and the talking to the camera part. It's also another thing I liked about The Office, that although they don't do it in The Office as in the flow of the show, they do the sort of confessional to the camera.
Mockumentary, which was really big about 10 years ago. Yeah.
Another aspect of this, you said the episodes are what, 22 minutes, 25 minutes?
25 minutes. They're very,
When I'm
burn through
binging,
them.
it just feels weird to me when I'm binging shows that short, and I can't put my finger on it. It's almost I don't know what that is. I don't feel like complete or something.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That's it. See, I'm the opposite.
Yeah.
I'm like, look at how much I've accomplished. I watched the whole series.
I guess.
Well, there's also that weird thing, and it happened because Bill Brio had been here twice now recommending Fleabag. And yesterday he said it again. He said, you'll love it. It's brilliant. And somebody here on Twitch says it's a masterpiece, genius. It's really, really well done. But, there's that moment just before you press play. And you're about to invest some number of days in this experience.
Right. Maybe.
Or the
Maybe.
possibilities
Or you're going to peace out and never
exactly.
look at it again.
Well, now there's that option. But, but that I knew I was going to like it. Bill said he did. Anyway, so but that moment where you go, all right, here I go again.
Or how about this moment? It's highly recommended you watch it, and you're sitting there going, what the hell was Howard thinking about?
Yeah.
Right.
What did he see in this?
Right.
But with you and I,
Right.
like
That's
that doesn't
always
happen.
awkward.
A lot.
How do I tell him?
Yeah, not for me. Maybe
It doesn't
it's
happen
me.
much with you and me, though.
I don't-
No.
Yeah,
I
but
was
if
using you as
No,
the-
I know, but I'm saying it's
No.
with a guy like Bill for sure. I've had people say, "Oh, you'll love the."
Yeah.
Somebody told me I'd like some Game of Thrones style show the other day. I'm like, no, I won't.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Without even watching it.
Well, it's because it sounded dumb.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard about? Did Bob? I only heard some of Bill Brio's thing yesterday. Did he talk about Bob Loves Abishola? Has anyone talked
No.
about this?
I've heard of that.
I
It's
haven't.
very interesting. Marco put it on last night and said I watched the first 2 episodes because I couldn't sleep, and then I'm watching it, and the first thing you do, you're gonna go, what am I watching? What's happening here? But it's actually pretty interesting and pretty funny. It's a new Chuck Lorre, so the guy that did 3.5 Men. So
Two and
it's
a half.
It's a network show?
Whatever, yeah, 3 Men and a Half.
3 Men and a Baby.
Yeah, baby half.
Is it a network show?
It is. It's a network show. I think it's NBC, and it's it's a 3-camera sitcom. So it's like the
CBS.
old. Okay, great. I'm full of all the wrong information. CBS, but it's a 3-camera sitcom, and so it has that old, whether it's studio audience laugh track, I don't know, but. So you're watching and you're like, okay, this is an old form, like a Big Bang Theory. He did Big Bang Theory, by the way. And it's about this older big guy from Detroit named Bob who falls in love with an African nurse from Nigeria. And so her whole family's Nigerian. And so you have that aspect. And then you have his like old stock Detroit. He's a sock salesman. It's interesting. It's a fresh take on a 3-camera sitcom.
Well, just
anyway.
another one on the list.
Yeah.
It's funny. I'd seen the advert for that during a golf broadcast in the early fall, and I was like, that does sound. It seemed interesting because it's so out of sort of the mainstream vibe of American television.
Yeah, he's a bigger guy with a mustache.
And a white guy, too.
Yeah, and a white guy.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just interesting.
He's a bigger guy or he's just a big fat guy?
He's bigger, he's big boned.
Oh, okay.
He's big boned.
His bones got fat,
He's like
and
my
now
people.
he's big. He's who?
He's like my people. My people are big. We're just big all around.
What do you mean, my people?
Like my family.
Oh, your family.
Yeah,
My
like
family.
my family. They're tall and they're big. Like they're all the things. My mom's side, anyway.
Anyhow, this Fleabag thing is good. You'll enjoy it.
Yes, I heard she's sexy. Heard you say.
Well, she's smart and she's funny and she's got a real edge to her. And yeah, she's sexy. I mean, the first episode, you're like, ooh, hello.
I mean, I wasn't. But that's not my first.
But it is interesting that first few minutes when she's talking to the camera while she's having sex with the guy is pretty provocative. I mean,
Amy Schumer did that. That's the opening of Amy Schumer's of Trainwreck.
It's a comedy, but it's still pretty interesting. You don't see it all the time.
I guess. Sure. Yes. And.
Well, no, I just thought it was interesting. That's how you get introduced to her character right
Totally.
away.
Yeah. It's a good hook off the top. Yeah.
How are you, by the way?
I'm good. Yeah.
Ralph Benmergui coming in today?
He is. He's coming in for 8.
Nice.
A little back and forth. He's got a podcast.
Oh, does he?
He does. I heard you say that.
Of course he does.
What did you say?
What?
There's 3.
There's 7 billion people on the planet. Mm-hmm. We just passed, I think, 6 billion people have podcasts, and the other billion are on their podcast.
Yeah, are the guests.
Are the guests.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I always look forward to a conversation. When you watch the leaders debate,
I did. I missed a little bit of the end, but I watched most of it, and then I had to take a bath.
we're going to save some of this for Ralph.
Why?
but-
Because of the debate?
Yeah, I had to clean myself. Wash it off.
I get that. I totally get that.
I didn't see any of it because I was binge watching this show, but no costumes, just straight talk. And this thing you were telling me about that they...
I sacrificed the Leaf game against the Stanley Cup champions for this debate.
Yeah.
How did Leafs do against St.
They
Louis?
lost. They lost.
Yeah, okay. So you watched... well, both things
night.
you knew kind of how they were going to turn out. But describe this technique.
And this isn't for me. Listening to our brother station this morning, our buddy, what's his name, Scott Reed, John Moore was talking about that technique when you're the incumbent, and it doesn't matter you're liberal, you're NDP, it doesn't matter. When you're the incumbent, they know the viewership is going to be minute for these things, which it is. What will come from them is clips. So if you're the incumbent and you're put on the spot, immediately start talking over the person to ruin the clip.
Right.
It's a concept in debates. It's called ruin the clip. And, so if you get this line of questioning and all of a sudden it gets a bit sticky and you can't work your way out of it, as he's asking the question, just start talking over him. And I get it. I mean, it's strategy, right? It's war out there, so I guess you got to do what you got to do. Now, sometimes it gets through, like Scheer's opening last night with the blackface and everything. That got through, and some other stuff did. But then there was other things. I know exactly what he's talking about.
Do you have the clip? Do I have a... Is that the clip I have,
That's
Phil?
the first clip from Scheer, yep.
From Scheer? Talking about blackface?
Should be Scheer smears Trudeau's veneer.
Okay.
That's how
I see.
Did you title that?
Yeah.
Nice title.
Stand up for Canada. You know,
The Cranberries were in the
he's very
debate.
good at pretending
That's
things.
Andrew Scheer's
He
a
can't
big
even remember.
fan of the Cranberries.
What's that?
I said Andrew Scheer is a big fan of the Cranberries. Little note fact.
That's his new theme song.
Yeah.
Linger.
Justin Trudeau only pretends to stand up for Canada. You know, he's very good at pretending things. He can't even remember how many times he put blackface on.
That's a great point, I think. Like, I know how many times I've worn blackface. It's a total of 0.
Right.
Most of us know how many times in our lifetime we would have put blackface makeup on.
Okay.
But he doesn't remember. I find that funny.
Trudeau should have interjected there and said, wait a minute, blackface. I did my legs, too. He should have said that.
And my bum.
Because he did. Anyway.
That doesn't impress you?
No, I don't want to get into
What?
it. I mean, there's so much Scheer doesn't remember that he said that he's been recorded saying. But I don't want to get into what he
Okay.
said.
Because the fact-
it's boring.
All right.
It's boring.
Of course it's boring.
Boring. Boo.
It's boring when your guy is nailed to the wall. But anyway.
Well, let me ask you
Yeah,
this.
because it's always a guy. Yeah.
Well, the thing about blackface is this. Just if you don't, first of all, don't do it. Secondly, keep track.
Do you know how many friends I've had that have done blackface?
I have 0 friends that have done blackface.
Oh, that's not true.
okay.
I know
Who do
people,
I know?
I don't want to out people.
Let's out blackface people.
No, man.
All right.
No, there's
provide
so
a
Well,
many
in my
Halloween
immediate
costumes.
circle,
So many.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
I assume, it
Yeah.
wouldn't surprise me at all.
People, there was a big trend of like if you're dressing from the 70s or to dress back in the 90s when they'd sell those Rasta wigs.
Yes.
A lot of people for Halloween did it, man. A lot of scary amounts.
And I bet you there was black people at the party that didn't care.
Yeah, maybe
Probably
I don't know.
thought it was funny.
I'll speak for him.
that part I don't know about.
Well, I don't know either.
Yeah.
Nobody knows, right? Until you ask the people that are affected.
But that surprises me because I didn't go through the 90s. You know, I was a young parent then.
I went to a party 5 years ago, and this guy is very smart, very wealthy, and he was in blackface. Yeah.
Well, Trudeau's. Oh no, I was going to say
Very wealthy.
he's wealthy.
And
He's
his
not
name-
smart.
And his name was Justin Trudeau.
Hey guys.
He's quite dumb, as a matter of fact.
Here's a little bit of our prime minister, who will be elected, by the way. I'm just gonna.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I do too.
absolutely.
Do you think?
Probably a minority.
It's so hard to when you're the incumbent, even if your record isn't that great. Trump will be elected in a landslide, but I think Trudeau will get reelected because things aren't. There's not, even the blackface isn't enough to turn enough people
Blackface.
off.
Yeah, but remember,
They all have stains on there. You know what I mean? Like his is pretty obvious, and somebody found a great time to drop that one. But
I'd say.
yeah.
Yeah.
why didn't they do it in the first election?
Because
That's
they
a
probably
question we
didn't
have to
have
ask
it.
them. Yeah.
What I'm saying is they didn't do it 2
It was
years ago.
yearbooks. Anyway, yeah.
You know what I mean? You could have done that a year and a half ago. It's not the
No,
same as
I
doing it
understand
last
why
month.
they didn't find it in the first place because it's one of those things where maybe if you're not looking for it or it hadn't been uncovered because it was uncovered and then that prompted the other pictures of it to surface. But, you're not going to be pouring through a yearbook. You may not see that picture.
Or know it's him.
Or no, it's him.
It just seems
Because he's incognito.
guys, it just seems odd to be sitting around for decades and then all of a sudden
I agree.
now.
By
I
coincidence.
think it was strategic.
Yeah.
It just seems odd to me that nobody saw for the decades leading up to the last election. One thing I will say, too, about why I think Trudeau is going to be reelected, Ontario.
Yeah.
Ontario is just so red and staunch, and nothing he could do would make people vote for Andrew Scheer.
You mean because people hate Doug Ford right now and they're angry about all the cuts?
That's also true.
No, is that what it is? Because Doug Ford ran without a platform and Scheer's running without a platform?
No, I just think Ontario and the atmosphere we're in, anti-con is the way to go. So,
But we voted Con in.
Yeah. And it's
Yes.
also Ontario tradition to vote different parties, too.
That's it.
Yeah. Like, when Chrétien was prime minister, we had Mike Harris.
Yes.
That sort of thing.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, we
So we go red on one end and
Yeah.
blue on the other?
we
Split
can't go.
split the difference.
We split the difference, and again, you have to be really bad as an incumbent,
Right.
to not get reelected.
well, and that's what happened to Kathleen Wynne. And it was too long and
Yeah.
a horrible landscape.
And that's what usually happens. Is there's a point happened with Stephen Harper, happened with Chrétien, happened with Brian Mulroney years ago, which is you're in, and then you get to a point where the stink's too much, like 10 years of Harper or however many years.
You don't think Trudeau's there, though?
Not yet.
No?
Yeah, Harper should have, leading up to that 10 years, said, I've done what I can, see everybody, I'm going to pass the baton. He really blew it that way.
And it goes back to one thing I think we haven't talked about in a while that I really believe in, which is term limits for politicians at every level.
Yeah.
I really think that, originally people went into this line of work as a way to give back or to do well or to be part of the change that society needs. And I totally believe that. And I still think that, to a degree, that's part of this current crop's raison d'etre, right? But I also think at some point it's time to move on, because you get politicians for life.
Right.
And I don't think it was meant to be that way.
Yeah, and I don't think politicians
No,
have changed.
you don't, none of that?
No, I just sometimes I think, but the argument, the counter argument to that, of course, is once you know what you're doing, then you're out. You know what I mean?
And how do you get good people to come in?
Right.
How do you get good people to come in if there's those limits and they think in the window, okay, as a counselor, I'm only going to make my $100,000 for 2 years, and then I got to think of something else.
Yeah, but I think that's this. We need to set up. First of all, government runs with the people that aren't elected. They run the government. The government's a big machine.
Yeah.
Elected officials come in and they are, put into the machine for however long they're in it. But, the government, the system runs with a new crop of people every 6 years, let's say.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, you're right. You don't want to say it's 2 years because then why would somebody leave the private practice? But at some point, they're just in there and they're not doing. Their reason to do it is no longer to do well, I think. It's to just get reelected.
But see, this problem is going to be compounded because I was just going to say, I don't think politicians have changed so much as the microscope has. Social media and where we're at now with probing and getting into every little thing that they've done. And this is a problem going forward because a lot of people that maybe good, solid people that thought about politics aren't going to go near it now.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So what are we going to be left with?
I just
Milquetoast.
the idea of
The
the idea of a career politician, to me, isn't the spirit of community and service that it was meant to be. That's why most boards, volunteer boards like the one that I was on, they have a limit. You're on the board for 3 years or 6 years, and then when that's over, other people come in.
Right.
And the people that run, the theater that I was on the board of, they're running the theater. The rest of us just come in and inject new ideas for
Right.
fundraising and bring in different people, and then you move on.
Well, ideally, that's great. But again, it's talking people into taking that little segment, taking that time out to interrupt your career
The
or what
good
other things you
people.
do. Yeah.
Talking to good people.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Barks, we're not getting great people anymore anyway, because of what you just said. I mean, this is a discussion he and I have been having for a long time, which is, all the attention and all the service that comes with being in the public eye as a politician. Who needs it?
I saw a clip yesterday, and Justin Trudeau was pretty young when they were asking him about politics. He says, I want no part of politics.
Yeah.
He said, I don't want to expose my family and all. And that all changed.
Yes.
because the Liberals went to him and said, listen, we want your name, we want your looks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We know you're not that smart, but we'll look after that end of it. And they created this thing, and it won the election. All the power to them. That's where we're at with politics nowadays. It's all about image and looks and all the superficial things. Because now, with social media and where we're at, delving into people's lives and backgrounds and everything, it's going to chase so many people away that we're going to be left with.
You know, you were too young to remember
lousy
because
people.
you were just a baby in the 90s, Amanda. But this Bill Clinton character was kind of like the pre-Obama. I mean, he was a cool guy
I
playing
was very conservative back
playing
then.
sax on Arsenio, and he was just this groovy guy, and he was just very cool and young. It was like our first sort of witnessing a president that didn't look like an old stodgy
World War II veteran.
old man or woman.
He was the baby boomers president.
Right.
He really was. Yeah.
And so on the heels of Obama, the Liberal Party went, we gotta get some of that. And so there was a lot of excitement around it. But, you know, I think the people that are really, really smart in the world, they don't want any part of this. They don't want the attention that comes with it.
And I think that was part of the Trump thing, too. The time on the heels of Obama, that image of, you know, hard-nosed and say it like it is and all that.
Determined.
It's, you know, it caught the imagination of people. And then you watch, the next one will be the opposite to Trump. Because people,
it has to be.
after his 8 years, people will say, oh, okay, enough of that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And just before we go to a break, Barker, someone says, I think I need to thank, it's C_C right. Says, thank Amanda, thank Marco for me.
Marco.
He may not be proud, but one night I had a huge bender and had to go to work in the AM and couldn't sleep from all the party favors. Lol. His podcast had me sleeping before the episode was finished.
Oh, that's amazing.
There you go. And Marco has a show called
The Insomnia
Project.
Absolutely listen to it. And hopefully
Really
you don't make
cool.
it to the end.
Is it a weekly thing?
He does seasons, so the first season was 100 episodes.
100?
They capped it at 100. And then they're I think halfway through the second
And
season.
how long are the episodes?
20, oh gosh, I hope I get this right, 26 minutes.
That's a lot of content.
Which is the perfect amount of time for a nap.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of content. We're a machine in my house.
This person said, I heard something about limousine cows and going in a forest, and boom, I was sleeping.
Great, that's the idea.
That's a great endorsement. You should put that as the byline. I heard something about a cow and a limousine, and before I knew it, I was asleep.
He and I have a few shows where we're like, have we watched this? Like we watch Escape to the Country, and we watch Extraordinary Homes.
Oh, yeah.
And that I'm like, have we watched the one in India? And he's like, I don't know. Like we're asleep through the entire
I'm the same way with this one chef show. I keep turning it on going, oh, man, I've seen this. But Chef's Table or one of those ones.
Cook like a chef.
Marco has a limousine project. Has the Insomnia Project. Every place is the same. And Marco and Ali cook stuff.
Yeah. Eat and Drink with Marco Timpano and Ali Hassan.
All right. We got to take a break, everybody. This was very exciting.
Deep dives
and unpacking.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't even said anything about my pancreas, you know. It's all right. I may not be here a year from now.
I missed the
Yeah, I'm
beginning,
dying.
and then I tuned in.
I'm pretty sure I'm dying.
I was on the streetcar, and then I heard everybody talking about your memorial.
Yeah. Well, that's where, you know, you basically missed the part in between, where I'm probably not going to be here much longer.
Really?
Hey, easy now. It's Humble and Fred Radio live on Funny 820. A beautiful, sunny October day. Sorry, Western Canada, but this is how we do here in Ontario. It's humbleandfredradio.com. We'll be right back.
There were peasants singing and drummers drumming. The archers split the tree. A fanfare blowing to the sun that was floating.
No, my stomach has been bothering me constantly now for months and months.
What have they done and what have they not done for tests?
I've done a bunch of tests. I'm going to go in.
Caprizole is not helping.
Hasn't really been making a big difference. I mean, I don't know. I have a 2-month prescription, so maybe it takes a while to start taking it. I don't know. I went back to my doctor yesterday, so we'll go and get another ultrasound, maybe because he didn't get the results from the one I did the day after I went to the hospital.
Did you do an MRI?
I had an abdominal ultrasound, which they check your pancreas, your gallbladder, and stuff like that, and they said it was fine. But it's not doing anything. It's not like I'm the same, and I'm losing weight.
Why do I always mess this
So I
up?
don't look like
How
I'm
do you spell
lost weight.
center in Canada?
It's kind of the same.
I always mess this
You
up.
always look the same.
What do you mean?
Like
the
the
center
center.
of something?
Yeah.
ER.
It's
Yeah,
what?
okay.
I see
RE
your
is
spirit.
like.
Do you love my shirt?
I love your shirt. I know I haven't talked to you about New York.
So I said to Charlie, I said, I want a Brooklyn shirt, but I don't want I don't want a big thing. I just want something cool. And we were in the store, and I was like, how about this? And they all went, yeah. So I like the little...
It's great. It's a good shirt.
It was a great day, man. Went up to Harlem, went to the Jewish Museum.
Oh, nice.
Fucking really cool.
Never been there.
Very cool. Then we walked down and had a coffee at the Guggenheim, like you do.
I love it.
Then we walked across the park to Upper West Side, took the girls to the Dakota. Then we walked down into some Upper West Side cafe and just watched the people. We had like a little snack in the
I
afternoon.
love it.
Fucking love it.
That's
Just,
about New York that I love.
I just watched the people in the restaurant, the people who live on the Upper West Side of New York, like that. It's just fucking wild.
Yeah. Dude, I don't know if you're feeling
No, I know.
What the fuck?
What did this
already have a
pancreas
guest.
talk, sir?
I'm on the schedule.
What are you talking about?
That his
Yes?
stomach was hurting.
Yeah,
and-
remember last week I said I want to come in and you said anytime and I said Tuesday unless one of you two tells me
No.
not to.
Who, not me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
you're-
to your shared account.
Well, that's fine because Benmerguy's not here yet.
Yeah, I'll
No,
send
you start. I'm Booney,
I'm
and you're
okay.
coming in for what? Just to hang?
Yeah, just to
Hi, how
talk
are you?
about 500 episodes and just shoot.
Yeah.
Your name is?
Milestone or whatever.
Congratulations.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I love that you're on Twitch or on Twitter all the time. It kind of
I love
because it just
Twitter.
pops up right on your phone.
Okay.
It's much easier than.
How much time do we have left in this break?
A few minutes.
3
Hey,
minutes.
hey,
Yes.
how are you?
right,
How are
yes.
you? Yeah, we hug. I got back. I just heard back from a candy company I'm bringing it on, so I'm
Yeah,
excited.
for sure.
Oh, no.
For what
How
thing?
are you?
Hello.
Nice to see ya.
I was talking to Chris Brown the other day. He says he was.
Oh, I love that man. Such a sweetheart. Did such a good job.
No.
You can get your coffee.
You had a, what's that? You heard from a candy company?
Yeah, I was trying to get Swish Candy. Someone said
Yeah.
they knew the CEO.
Well, we're in a
so
break
I've
right
used
now.
that
That,
Connect, and he finally just got back
Yeah,
to me
you-
and
yeah,
wanna
you can
come
call
in
them.
and talk about their candy.
The sticker lady, I followed up with her, Laura, and I don't know where that's going.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
that's
hold
what it
on.
was.
You want listen?
Yeah, just-
It's better when you ask it fresh on the air, so we'll put you on.
Anyway, I'm just not feeling
Well, I
it.
can put you on hold.
That's sort of
Why are we
worried.
saying pancreas?
Oh,
Why is
because
that?
my doctor said we should just check your
Pardon me?
pancreas.
That's enough to scare the shit. out
Laura's
of me.
jazzed about coming in, right? When she came in.
Well, she came in already. We
If you
spoke
wanna
to her,
call
we
back,
had a
that's
great
fine.
conversation.
But I can put you on hold.
Yeah, it was great, Mike. I don't know where it's going, but I'm...
Okay, because if any of you guys coming over to my place on Wednesday next
What?
Wednesday,
Should be the last commercial.
Andrew
I wanted to run
Yeah,
a
from
commercial.
sticker. Yeah, he was
Yeah,
great.
that's here, yeah.
and I'll talk to him about how great you guys
Well, no, and then she had we had a nice meeting with her on Thursday. She came in
are. Okay, good.
and watched the show a little bit. Fred, do CDN, and I'll do the Sherpa.
Why did you want to come in, Mike? I can't remember.
500 episode.
Like a
Oh.
milestone for podcasts.
What is your theme music?
If you go to YouTube and look for Toronto Mike theme, it's should be number 1.
Shit.
Toronto Mike theme.
There we go.
Yeah, that first one.
Right here?
Yeah.
Or up here?
That one, yeah. Yes. So put these on, is that right?
Come on. Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Come on. Welcome back on a beautiful Tuesday in Southern Ontario. It's the Humble and Fred Show. We're going to talk to our boy Toronto Mike here in a second about a podcast milestone. Benmerguy's on his way in here. He's got a podcast. Ours is brought to you by CDN Technologies.
Hey, are you searching for an IT company because you're dealing with ongoing IT issues? Well, you know what? We'll tell you where to go, who to talk to get them all fixed up. CDN Technologies, that's it. It's fantastic. If your current IT team is spending 10 hours on a 1-hour problem, that's not good. You know, you want to expedite that. And are you worried about getting hacked or breached? All companies now, that's an ongoing problem. CDN Technologies can help you. CDNtechnologies.com is where to go, and don't forget, tell Barb Hummel and Fred sent you.
Yeah, just take his mic away from him again, because that seems to, his mic.
That's a new thing?
Yeah, it's a new thing now.
This is our new thing.
It's our new thing where one of the host's mics doesn't work every day.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, it's cool. A lot of radio
That's
stations.
a fun bit.
You know, a lot of radio stations are doing that now.
Yeah.
They don't.
Roz and Mocha.
Yeah, oh yeah. Every other day, Mocha's mic doesn't work. It's a cool bit. And then what you do is you write in. Well, that's from the. I'm sorry. Okay, let's.
I feel bad for Roz and Mocha. Have you seen their latest commercial?
No. But I did see.
Lucky guys
I know,
dressed up, and it's like, oh.
Well, I told you.
How 1980s.
It's funny. It feels like, is that the idea? Is it ironic?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I told you I saw their billboard. I felt the same way. I'm like, oh, buddies, they're all dressed up in costumes.
We're the kings of wacky.
Yeah, I know.
But they come out dressed up, and then one guy cuts the other guy. It's almost a bit like our commercial from back in the 80s.
1989.
When those things were acceptable. It's like,
Yeah, right.
can't you just say, like, you know what, it's not really us. Let's not do this.
No.
But anyway.
I'll tell you who is doing great work is a retirement Sherpa. He is your man. Talk to him about the process. He's also got cross-border services. He's certified in both countries. He is a portfolio manager. I don't know if that means anything to you, but it's important. Raymond James, a member of the Canadian Investment
Protection Plan.
Protection Fund.
Oh my gosh.
Fund.
Only 4 years of saying that.
Yeah,
Five
I
almost.
I know.
It's a hook.
Raymond James, a leading independent brokerage firm. And a lot of people have been taking advantage of the retirement Sherpa. And over the last couple of years, many listeners have become clients, and clients become friends. Tim.Niblett at raymondjames.ca. That music in the background should have told you that a man was coming in here that just years ago was one of these people that knew a lot about the internet. He was just a character and a very interested radio fan, and now he's at the top of his game. He's the top of the mountain. Ladies and gentlemen, Toronto Mike, everybody.
Woo!
Toronto microphone.
Always a pleasure to be here. I think this is my first visit since the Twitch era began. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. So there's a camera on me. And by the way, who used these headphones before me? They have an enormous head. It was enormous. Is
Those
that
are
Phil?
Phil's, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Oh, I know.
That's called Guinness.
It was Philly Pumpkinhead.
Called Guinness. Everyone, I brought you all stickers. Toronto Mike stickers.
All
One
right.
for Howard,
Oh,
one for
sticker
Fred.
you. Look at that.
Sean Sargent,
Put it on my car.
Amanda Barker.
What am I
got one
supposed
for
to do with
Phil.
this?
Goes on your car.
Oh.
I can put it on my way out. Don't worry.
These
Very
are those
nice.
stickers that won't leave the residue.
No,
Yeah,
That's right,
this
from
is,
Sticker U.
The Sticker
Yeah.
U stickers. So
Sticker U stickers. These are cool, man.
They are cool.
And
I like
he-
the mic.
now I have hit 500 episodes. That's what I wanted to come in. I'm actually going to hit 525 today, so we're a little late on this visit. But I want you to know there would not have been an episode 1 if it weren't for you guys. There wouldn't have been 500. There wouldn't have been
Why,
1.
Mike? Why? Explain that.
Okay, so
Let me put this right here now.
your first episode, I heard you referencing that Friday episode that you guys don't count for some reason when Howard drops the C words. So that I was in the room for that. I was in the room for the first 2 weeks. I saw the inner workings, how it all the infrastructure, how it all connects. I watched
Right.
you guys create the content, produce the show live on the fly, and I thought to myself, what if I left my comfort zone and I tried to do all that? And that's what happened in 2012. So you guys gave birth to Toronto
Yeah, but
Mike.
you were gassed from your job when?
Like the day before your first episode was my last day
Oh, wow.
at a full-time gig, yeah. And so, yeah.
Yeah, but what was this? You had a job up until sort of a year ago.
Okay, well, there was a job. I went into an actual building in Mississauga that I had for 7 years, and that
Right.
ended the day before your first episode.
No, I understand
And then
that.
shortly after you guys started, I got another job where I worked from home for a
Right.
German company, which I did for another 7 years.
Yeah.
So I was only able to kind of watch you guys in your studio for a couple of weeks, and then I had to go.
Okay, but
work.
the point is that job ended, and now you're totally
Okay, yes.
independent, is
You're
what
right,
I'm saying.
Well, that was a year ago.
That was
when
a year
Toronto
ago.
Mike Digital Services was launched.
So you're completely on your own now, and how's it going?
For over a year now, every penny I've made is my own blood, sweat, and tears at TMDS, and it's
No, I mean, because
it's-
of me and Howard, too. right?
Well, Right, I gotta cut you in like the mob.
It's funny because
give you an envelope.
we cut you in somehow,
Yeah.
but we and
But you
don't
never
forget-
cut me in with
but
cash.
no, we cut you in with cash. With we've cut checks to you.
Yeah.
Oh,
for,
yes,
you
a
know.
mobile app, right? But that's
I'm talking about the sponsorship, sharing, and that kind of thing. That came from you. That was
Commission.
Yeah. That's the app, the payment app.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
That's what it is. Yes. Yes.
Do you still have them?
No. They were so upset with their Humble and Fred experience. They said, "I'm out
That's
of here."
not
too."
true. Stop it.
Suck it on a man.
No, they're long gone.
Jokes.
But,
If you look over, I guess what is that? My
oh, so there you go.
if you can see on Twitch, I put the sticker up over my shoulder.
Which fell.
Oh, shut
It just felt
Because you're not on a good surface there. But
Oh, look, Rabbi Benmergui is here. Don't worry about it. We got another guest, and then we'll put you on later. Yeah, just put that there.
as you cued it fell right on.
Well,
you.
that's the Humble and Fred way. Let's have Mr. Benmergui sit in our green room, which is also over there.
yes, my buddy
Our
Ralphie.
upper green
No,
room.
look at his nipples are erect, just like mine.
At the sight of him,
Also-
or
You guys are insiders. Now, Roz
What?
Weston, you mentioned Roz and Mocha, right?
Yes.
He gets a check from Chorus because he's on Entertainment Tonight on Global, okay?
Oh.
Full-time gig there.
Right.
He's also on a Rogers radio station. Is he
Right.
the last guy cutting a big check from Rogers and Chorus?
Who knows?
yeah, I don't know.
You
I don't
know.
know.
I'm more
We don't know.
fascinated in that.
I don't know that history.
It's unbelievable.
In
It still
520 episodes of your show, what stands out? And not us, but like, what was like a guest you were surprised you got, and what was a guest that you had hoped to get but couldn't?
I was going to ask him that
Okay,
question.
well, the second
Well,
one's
you can
easy
ask
one.
him
Okay.
now if you
No, that I was going to ask him that part of it. Who would you still like to get that you can't?
No,
seem-
there's a guy who's coming on your show who very publicly on Twitter blew me off because I think he confused me with another Mike on a different blog. But Bob McCowan was a guest that was supposed to come on Toronto Mike, and he very publicly, thank you Toronto Mike for offering, but your listeners and fans think I'm a dinosaur, and they probably don't want to hear from a dinosaur, so I'm gonna pass. Like this very like strange reaction like that, and he's coming on your show, right?
Yes.
So that's a big that's a name I've wanted for a while, and a couple of names I'm surprised I got. I guess I mean I don't know. Pakin was just in, Jim McKenney was just in, but I'm thinking it might be somebody like a Dan Schulman. Like you think, okay, well Dan Schulman's not going to come in my basement and hang out for 90 minutes.
Yeah, but other people have.
True, but Schulman, and you're right, and there's a lot of big names who've come by, but. Schulman, I mean, I always think of him as like he's our Vince Scully. Like
Yeah,
he's
a fine broadcaster.
and he's not just a Canadian thing, right? He's an ESPN guy. He's a big deal in that world.
You know,
And,
for me, it's I had this conversation. The reason I thought of it with you, Mike, is I had this conversation yesterday with somebody. They were asking me about people we've had on the show over the years. Are you okay?
I'm almost dead.
Yeah.
So is
All right.
Howard. Don't worry about it.
So am I. And this won't surprise Fred, but it might surprise you.
I'm ready.
For me, the guest I'd still like to get before the pancreas takes me is Bobby Orr.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say
Like,
that.
And I know that we've come close, and I know a guy that manages his appearances, but the problem is not us. He just doesn't like to do stuff like this. He doesn't do very much of it.
Yeah.
You know, your hookup is there.
I told you when I was in Peterborough, he came into the Wolf one morning, and he shook hands, and he sat in my office for a couple of minutes while we were waiting to go on air. It's doable. It's just getting the right. It's just all timing, Howard, with him.
Yeah, it was last December. I was talking to this agent of his, and I think he had a book or something he was promoting. Maybe it was the year before, and I thought, man, that'd be perfect for us. But that's one of those things where if he walked in here, my nipples would get hard.
We tried, I think. When
we
he had
know.
the
We
book.
came close.
Yeah, we did. We
tried more than once.
Yeah.
By the way, the true answer I realize as I think about it is Chuck D from Public Enemy. So Chuck D, I've loved that guy since I was a teenager. Absolutely loved Public Enemy. When I had Chuck D on Toronto Mic'd, that was the guest I never thought I'd get. So that's actually the true. Schulman you can get, yes. Chuck D, I didn't think I'd get him.
Did we have Chuck D? Who was the guy we had on from one of those bands?
We did not have Chuck D on, I don't think.
Recently, or?
No, back at the other place. I don't know.
Well,
it was some guy from one of those bands.
The point of all this is to congratulate you. 520 some episodes. It'll be interesting because Mr. Benmerguy's coming in.
Yeah.
And apparently he is adding his name to the list of the 6 billion people on the planet.
700,000 podcasts in the world right now. Yeah, 700,000.
How many do you think?
That's all?
Yeah, that's it.
How many do you think there are listed on iTunes Canada?
There's no. That's not how iTunes works, right? Like there's iTunes, and then when you get at it from Canada, you look at the Canadian charts. So, it's 700,000 indexed podcasts on Apple Podcasts.
Wow.
What category are you in?
Personal journals.
Are you still doing well in the
yeah,
ranking?
well, I was very recently 20. And I've been hanging around talking. Gallagher and Gross right now are actually ahead of me. Gallagher and Gross Saved the World. They're in the same category. They were 10 last time I checked in. Yeah, but
the way the algorithm works is it likes new.
There's a velocity component, so
Yeah.
it does like a surge of new subscriptions. Absolutely. It really is difficult for you guys and me as well for being around several years.
Mm-hmm.
It's tougher to get that ranking.
Well, and that's why I was talking about it recently, because our ranking has always been sort of in the top couple of hundred, and then it slipped away a little bit, and then we start producing new episodes again. And in the fall, there's always a natural surge of people that come back from the summer, and our ranking shot up. I mean, we've been as high as 150, 160 in the comedy category. But do you think it would be should we change categories? Would that do anything for our ranking?
Well, you're on Funny 820. I feel like you should be in the comedy. I feel like
you're
comedy.
right.
Also, one thing just I need to point out is that when you look at the charts and when I look at the charts, we're actually looking. If you look in the bottom right corner, you'll see a little maple leaf, like a Canadian flag. You're seeing you're number 200 and I'm number 20. Not in the world, obviously.
No,
not
of
USA,
course.
No, let's say
for Canada. So and
let's say the world.
It does to me. It's not about where you rank; it's about the quality of your production.
Well, our quality
Who cares
is
about
rank.
ranking?
Our quality is rank because our microphones aren't working.
And honestly, what does ranking mean?
It's the algorithm's not even published. Who knows?
Yeah, and who looks at rankings?
No one. Nobody.
No one.
You might look overall, but you never look into your category ranking. It does not matter.
No.
But good luck. Ralph Benmergui would be a great podcaster. He's been on a couple of times, and I look forward to tuning into that. But yeah, I do urge, because I know Peter Gross was on last week, check out Gallagher and Gross Save the World. And by the way, Peter Gross is best friends with Jim McKenney. Jim McKenney is very tight with Bobby Orr. That's how you get him in. You don't go through this agent.
Well,
the thing is, McKenney wouldn't come in here
because you're too early.
Too early.
And you got to do a special McKenney episode.
He said, I'd like to come in with Humble and Fred, and then Gross said, we got to be there by 8 a.m.
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
not
I'm
happening.
Surprised. I'm not surprised.
So,
and all this time you've been doing it in your basement, for a lot of people, busy couples. Barker has a studio in her basement.
Mm-hmm.
I got a studio in my basement. Here. It's quite convenient. But, we have a sort of a business-looking thing, and I haven't been to your place since you guys have redone the... But do you worry, Barker, when all these guests come into your house, that your house has to look
Yeah, it has
like
to
a
be show
way?
ready.
A show ready?
I say it to Marco. It's actually one of the things I love about having a studio in my basement is if people are coming over, if Ali's coming over, he cooks in my kitchen. That's part of the podcast.
Oh.
So that kitchen has to be spotless.
Oh.
That house has to be spotless. Marco knows that.
Now, Monica is your loving wife. Does she worry that people are coming traipsing through the house, and does it have to be show ready like Barker's?
No, absolutely not. And I have 4 kids, as you know, so it's never show ready. But the basement I've got, it's nice as I can. And basically, she knows now there's been hundreds of guests coming through. Like Dave Bedini's coming over, and it's just kind of become the new norm that these people are going to come in. On that note, do you guys know you're scheduled for Toronto Mike in later this month?
No. We haven't got our manager hasn't sent us a note.
You know what?
Go through me.
Yeah.
You know what, Mike?
Well, okay.
Go
yes.
through me.
When you walked in here, I'm thinking, oh, geez, why is he here? Right, we're supposed to be at this place. Maybe
I think it's the 23rd, but I'll send a note to Amanda.
Go through me.
So she
He
can
walks
get
in.
there.
Oh, geez, now what does this mean? Do we have to do
we forget
something?
Yeah.
Your face.
This was in my calendar, and Fred said anytime, and I said Tuesday unless you say otherwise.
I think you and I spoke about
and
this.
I know my calendar dung. I said,
Can I ask though?
Anything.
This is about like the 5th time. What's this show going to be about? The Humble and Fred appearance. What's going to be said that hasn't been said?
Leave that to me, my friend. Let me do my thing.
Mike does a
Real
very
talk.
good job. It's real talk, is
Right,
it?
real talk.
Yeah, is that what you call it?
Yeah, that's exactly what I call it.
And usually when we visit, the comments we get pulverized when we're on Mike's.
Any attention is good. Just bring attention to the Humble and Fred world. That's
Well,
the key.
I guess.
And remember, you're talking to people who are podcast listeners. It's like fishing where the fish are.
You know what I liked about the comments on Toronto Mike?
It's Mike problem.
Was
Hey, Sean, we need to do microphone. Let's switch that out.
Take this.
Let's switch Fred's out, Mike. No, and then in the meantime, let's get the other one there, Yen. No, and I'm gonna get Ralph on after the break.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Ralph, are you okay for another couple minutes?
Okay.
Are you sure? How are you? Hi, buddy.
I have a
Happy
sticker
New
for you,
Year.
Ralph.
What I was going to say, remember, Mike, the original comments when we first started this and you blogged about it?
Yep.
All those comments, it'll never last. Everybody
Right.
does podcasts. That'll have no legs. Who wants to listen to them over an extended period of time? And here we are going into year 9.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And in, like, you know how you talk about dog years, right? Like, in podcast years, you guys are better than Ashby as far as I'm concerned. Like, this is, to me, the equivalent of doing a 50-year run on terrestrial radio. This is incredible.
Well, a lot of people think, here, Barker, what mic is that? Is that 5? Let me see. No, it's 6. Let's say over there.
Terrestrial?
There she is.
You know, I always talk about the very first one that you urged us to do was 2006, December.
Yeah, I know.
And then we did a few of them at your urging, and then we kind of got into it a little bit. I think over the course of a few years, you and I got together a few times and did it. So our podcast pedigree, if you will, the history goes back a long time.
Yeah.
And as I've said a few times recently, that I remember having conversations in the fall of 2011 with our peers in radio that hadn't heard of a podcast.
Oh, without a doubt. And it's funny how that is changing over the past few years, because a lot of people, you say podcast and they go, oh, I don't know how to do that, man. That's way beyond me. And now it's funny. Older and older people are saying, hey, I listen to this podcast.
Oh, yeah. I think Serial played a big role in that, where people suddenly became aware.
Yeah.
By the way, just to say, episode 500 is just me talking about the origin story of Toronto Mike, in which I basically tell the origin story of Humble and Fred. Like, if you just want a very brief, just me doing a little monologue, dig up episode 500 of Toronto Mike, and I tell the story of going to Dan Duran's house in December 2006.
That's right.
And I mean, Shawarma was there, and Bingo Bob, and Andy Wilson, and all these cats. And
do you ever use the word legendary?
Yeah, I've used it on
Thank
occasion.
you.
All right.
That's important.
That's it.
Right? Yeah.
He drops the mic.
Yeah.
We love legendary.
Yeah, legendary.
Well, in my books, right?
Well,
it's all about the
appreciate it, man.
demographic.
We do appreciate it. How about your? I know you are a liberal, I believe. Liberal.
Well, small L liberal.
Yeah, but
he never talks politics on his.
Well, I was going to say, so no politics on the show.
No. Well, I'll trash Doug Ford now and then. And,
so that's okay.
Yeah,
All right.
that's fine.
Why? Because he's fat?
No, I've never cared about the man's weight, to be honest with you. But I don't actually. I find it very a few things I don't do is no active politicians on the show. I can't do the spin in the.
Well, there's been no reason to.
No, and it's terrible. So I simply won't do that, and I really, really dislike doing the whole. I like Scheer, I like Trudeau, I like Singh. I can't do the.
The only time
like
we've
that.
had politicians on it worked for us because we have fun with them, right?
Yeah, we had
any politician we've right back to. So obviously it's the line.
It's
not
the
mic.
Yeah. Give 'em
But that's good news because that cable's a lot cheaper than that microphone. So that's good news.
Yeah, we've had some good luck. Excuse me, over the years with politicians. You know, whether it was Mike Harris or Dalton McGuinty or.
But how long?
Jack
You're doing like
Layton.
7 to 10
Layton.
minutes, maybe. Like I mean,
Not like this. Yeah, not
right.
hours.
Yeah. Although Benmerguy's practically a politician.
Well,
because
yeah,
he's,
Benmerguy's as close as what?
He
Turn it
got,
off,
he got
okay.
the first ever MPP elected for the Green Party in this province's history.
Well, that's what I was saying. It'll be great to get Ralph on here because he's actually, the rest of us just watch from the sidelines. But I think I was having breakfast with you once, and he got an urgent note from the Green Party. We'll tell that story. I've got to go. I've got to write a release for the Green Party. I was like, wow, it's like being with Batman. It's like being with Green Party Batman.
Have you guys ever got a guest you're shocked you got?
Yeah.
Who?
Well,
Anne Murray, maybe?
No, I was thinking back and, when you think about who has been on our show, everyone from Pink to Robert Duvall.
No, I mean though this
in
one.
this thing?
Yeah, your own iteration.
Only because when you work for a major radio station as we did, the chances of them using the radio station promotion is a lot
I don't
greater
think there's a pride in you don't have you had someone come by the Edge or whatever. That's different than somebody coming to the Humble and Fred studios.
Of course, because when we had big name guests on the Edge, they were coming for their own self promotion.
Right.
Because they thought they could reach a lot of people.
When Dave Grohl came on the show, it was not because of us. It was because of the radio station.
So on your show, who's the one name that or a name that you're shocked you landed?
Well, I would say Anne Murray's up there. Like when you think of her profile, what are the chances she'd end up on a show like ours? Well, it happened. Same with Peter Mansbridge.
There's
Yeah,
a good one.
Mansbridge
yeah.
was a good one.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Oswald's widow made her cry.
I was in the room for that.
That was on the phone, though.
That was on the phone. I made Oswald.
No.
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
Was it? Because I was sitting there and
No, you know who was in the studio that I was surprised?
Howard's made a lot of them cry, so you're getting mixed up.
I actually remembered a bunch right now. Go ahead.
Frank Sinatra Jr.
Right.
Do you know the story, Barker?
That's great.
He's somebody. His publicist somehow was a big fan of ours.
It's funny.
And he was at Rama or Falls View, and he was great. But he didn't realize the entire time that we weren't on the radio. It was just a podcast.
Oh.
And when Fred and I sort
You
of
thought he was on the radio?
we
That's
looked at
funny.
each other. We're like, he thinks this is a radio show.
So let him
How
think.
sadly mistaken.
You know what we thought? We thought at the time, let him think that because soon he'll be dead.
Yeah.
And you were right.
And you were right.
Right.
And we've replayed it on the radio many times since.
Exactly.
So there you go. He was on a radio
In those
show.
first 2 weeks, there were a lot of. I'm not ageist by any means. I hope to become very old one day. But older people who are a little confused. That was a common theme for those first 2 weeks.
Mostly us.
Yeah, mostly you guys.
fun. That
So I
was
remember
our
the song, the
theme.
Four Seasons guy. I remember a lot of these. I remember sitting there thinking, well. And then we had Gian Gomeshi on. I was in the room for that one, and I
right.
still remember Gomeshi's on, doing your thing, and you were, maybe you could pump his tires back then. And then I remember Fred afterwards, like, that guy creeps me out. And I remember having this chat, like, okay, what is it? He goes, something about that guy creeps me out. And then look at where we are now.
Yeah. You know who else was in the room that was odd was not Gene Simmons wasn't on that. He was on with me.
Oh, yeah,
on the
were
phone.
On the phone.
On the phone, yeah.
And he was a prick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
he was a
yeah. That's right.
There was somebody else I just thought of. So it was around that time. Gameshi. Anyway, we used to have a lot. It was. Oh no, it was the Four Seasons guy.
Yeah,
We had.
yeah.
What's his name?
Do we have the Four
Frankie
Seasons
Valli?
on?
No.
No,
The guy that invented the Four
hotel.
Seasons
Right.
Hotel.
Oh, God,
Hilton
famous-
or what?
No, it's not Hilton.
Okay.
I don't know.
Who was the guy? Ralph. He's a Jewish guy. Isidore
Yeah.
Sharp.
Isidore Sharp.
Isidore
Before
Sharp.
my
Very interesting. Yeah, before your time.
Mm-hmm.
Isidore.
Yeah.
Anyway, well,
that,
Mike-
that was bananas.
If you wanna check out Mike's podcast, there's 500
And
plus
24.
episodes to go back and listen to. The guests are wide ranging. How many times has Benmergui on?
Twice.
Twice.
He kicked out the jams, like Fred did as well. We play your 10
Howard's
favorite
not-
songs.
Howard's
Yeah,
never
I'm not
kicked
Because
doing
he made a shitty comment. Pardon me. He said a comment about it.
I
About
didn't
it.
make
Right.
any comment about
About how he
anything.
doesn't want to do that, so I never asked him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know
Here,
what you're
it
talking
always ends
about.
sour with you guys.
And-
My apologies.
And you know what, Mike?
Always.
He has Mike. He has no idea what he was missing.
That's
He was
right.
great.
Kicking out the jams is something that every man
Dee
should
Schneider,
do.
we got on. Taylor
we-
Dane, we got on. I'm trying to think of some
I'm-
other ones.
if I'm-
Dee
if
Snyder's
I'm-
the guy I'm
If
thinking
I'm
of.
asked
Schneider, yeah.
on the next episode, if I'm asked, I will kick the jams.
October 23rd, I'll ask you live.
All right. Great seeing you, sir. Ralph Benmergui is going to join us here in a minute or two. TorontoMike.com. Is that your website? Your
TorontoMike.com,
blog?
please. I'm also co-hosting Hebsy on Sports if you like Toronto sports action. And Gallagher and Gross Save the World is the latest project, and it's fascinating. You need to download that right now.
Yeah, go download all the podcasts. Oh, and what's that, Sean?
Oh, I've been
That's
asked
right.
to come here Friday. I'm going to be
Sean's-
on, what's your show called, Sean?
Crack a Noon on Twitch
We should
on
get you.
Friday.
Come to my studio and I'll get my husband at yours. We'll do one of those.
Yeah.
Biking over at noon, I can't wait.
That show, Gallagher and Gross, what is it? Take
Gallagher and Gross Save the World.
I noticed Gallagher's not yelling too much on that show, which is good.
I coached him.
A couple of morning. Remember,
You
he
said
was,
stop yelling?
He's got a bit of energy.
Yeah.
He was in here a few weeks ago with me. He was pinning that needle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was unreal. It was
Yeah,
like,
we have
Johnny.
to keep turning
He's
it
something
down.
else. Getting him to stay on mic is half the battle.
No, I guess. TorontoMike.com, and we'll be right back. It's Humble and Fred Radio on Funny 820. It's a radio station, you know, with swearing and no swearing.
I apologize.
And, of course, at humbleandfredradio.com.
You drove me, nearly drove me out of my head.
I think it's
While you
what
never
it might
wasted
be? It might be,
tears.
yeah, that's what I think.
Do we have any spray?
Remember,
Give it a good.
Is there
up and down.
a chance to jiggle it? Can you reach it or no?
Hang on a second, guys.
Which one is it? Right down and right up.
Yeah, they're not. No.
Do we have any spray?
I'm not sure. Ask Phil. I think we did.
Phil?
Air spray.
Maybe spray for the
Ralph, how you doing, buddy?
Good, you?
Good.
Are you,
Thanks for coming again.
The traffic was horrendous.
Oh, fuck.
Horrendous.
That's all.
It's just like, you're not serious. Like I left with an hour and 10 minutes to get
We
here.
don't have any spray.
You know, Ralph,
It's the worst time to come.
I live at the top of the 410.
Oh, yeah.
And at 5:45 in the morning now, it's stopped until it gets wider.
I don't even bother taking it anymore.
And you know how many hundreds of homes are being built in that area?
Yeah, yeah.
Not even completed yet, and each home will have 2 cars.
And no transit to go with it.
No.
Just get in your car, single occupancy, and crowd it in. Shear's only right after the. Who was it? In the middle of the campaign, after they were talking about climate, he goes on after the French debate and it says, "We're going to build more highways." Idiot. The more roads you build, the more cars you get. It doesn't work that you get less cars or more roads. More roads, more cars.
Yeah, but you know what's even more idiotic? To think people are going to get in a bus.
Only, like in Europe, trains and buses and bike paths that go from village to village, town to town, city to city, all that stuff's completely normal. Here, it's the last resort.
No, I know, but the problem is, too, it sort of happened there organically here. To build that infrastructure now?
Yeah, you need the biggest thing they need that they don't have is the last mile.
How about this, Ralph? In the in Toronto,
yeah,
the price of housing.
Yeah.
You know, they know it's a lot of money laundering. It's a lot of. Why not just unless you're a Canadian citizen, you're going to buy a house here?
That's not speculation and development goes on. Canadians do it as much as anyone does it. You know, the guys who buy up 73 condos are not all Chinese. they're mostly Canadians who are developing, and it's a passive income economy for those people. You increase the value of their home or their store, and they do fuck all. They go play golf. They make money while they sleep. So it's not that that's the problem. The problem is that because there's no, like, when we were younger, there was such a thing as rent controls for people. So that they're actually, because right now to rent is more expensive than to own.
Right.
That's
so
a
how is that
ridiculous
fair to people that rent places?
You have to put the brakes on. You have to give incentive to developers to actually make housing that people can afford. You have to find a way to do that. I'm not the guy to find it. But
because it's probably impossible.
It's not impossible. It's not impossible.
Under our system?
But this is that last sentence is the problem.
Oh no, I know it is.
It's the system.
Yeah,
it's
where we're
just
at.
Whack-a-mole.
It's hard to go back. That's
I don't
we're going to
test it at all right now while we're live right
Huh?
now. Well, but I can test it now on Q.
It's not
No,
sustainable,
behind
you
the
think,
board.
eh?
No, not
I think it's just unplugged a bit.
You mean
Really?
economic collapse?
Can you go and...
Yeah.
I can reach in there. I don't want to do it while we're live.
What's Mike's he going to use?
You should use this for now.
Okay.
Oh. Well, maybe try it one more time.
Yeah, okay.
Because you
Can you just talk to me for a second? Let's put it on cue.
Gary Talk. I talked to Gary Talk on the phone yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Hello.
He's good. He's coming
Hello,
over
testing
in
1,
2 weeks.
Oh great.
And I was doing my
Go ahead, Tom.
research.
Hello.
And I realized
Hello. Good morning. Good morning.
Oh, yeah,
Seems fine.
Yeah. Let's just see, because it may have just been the pot. Because
Yeah.
the cord all of a sudden
Yeah.
doesn't. Dust gets in there. Right?
Okay, yeah.
So I was in
He doesn't have any
New
spray
York visiting
downstairs.
my daughter on the weekend. I don't know if I told you last time. She moved there.
Yeah.
And I went to Harlem and to the Jewish Museum.
Well, this is
Oh
good.
yeah.
I can put
Very
ad breaks
Yeah.
and make
Very
money off ads
interesting.
now.
Great.
And it was on
nowhere.
Saturday, so
I
it's
just
free.
added that.
So I go down to the restaurant, Russ and Daughter. So I was
That's
telling them
amazing.
yesterday, and they're making food. I'm like, how is this possible? So I asked the hostess. I said, how can you? She goes, well, here's what you do. You go online. We have an app. You order and pay for it, and then we'll serve it.
Oh.
Oh, we're always thinking.
Like the Shabbos elevator.
It's like the, what do they
Stops
call
at
that?
every floor.
What do they call the
Shabbos-
Sabbath goy?
Shabbos goy.
Shabbos goy. What's going on here? Jim?
Susan
Hold on one
Bonner's,
second.
Susan Bonner's dad.
Hold on one
was a
second.
Shabbos goy.
Why is this?
Oh, that you said
Well, plus that, you know. my
told
daughter-
me I was too plebeian. Said that you were through with me,
Black hats.
and now
I'll ask
you say you love me.
And welcome back, everybody. It's Humble and Fred Radio.
Well, just to prove
Little Frank
that
Sinatra
you do,
Jr. there for you, Freddie. Oh,
you
yeah.
can cry me
And we
a
think
river.
we've solved the
Cry
microphone
me a
problem.
river.
So let's get to it. Here, go ahead and say hi.
Good morning,
I
all.
cried a
One and
river
all.
for you.
I love Frank. Often when I've had dinner with Dan Duran,
He'll put a little Frank on in the background. Ambiance and feel is a very big deal.
Oh, absolutely, yes. Seems like my microphone's not working.
No, I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me? All right, welcome back to our program. A gentleman that has been a fine broadcaster for many a year. He is... What was your official title? You were doing publicity, or you were doing some strategy for the Green Party?
I was strategic comms and director of comms for the provincial during the last provincial election.
For the Green Party?
Yeah, but I've worked for the Liberals, I've worked for the NDP, I've worked for the Greens.
He's Ralph Benmergui is who he is, everybody. Ralph.
Working for the Greens, that's sort of like working for the Leafs, right? You're never going to win.
Not as much money. Yeah, doesn't quite work that way.
Yeah,
you do it because you believe it.
So we were having breakfast sometime, I guess, last year, and you said, "Oh, I got to take this," and it was somebody from the Green Party calling you because something was about to happen, and they needed you to help craft a message.
Right.
How and I guess I want to start with how much of what we hear from politicians has been pre-crafted, is committed, is they go, "Okay, this is what we're talking about today." And how much comes from them?
It depends on the leader or the person who's actually going to be doing the speaking. So in some cases, you have very good communicators, and usually they have a mind of their own about what they want to say. In some cases, you have people who want to take advice, so that you say, you might want to think about this. Because it's kind of a minefield, political communications. You're always going to be in trouble with somebody at some point. Everybody wants to hear what they want to hear. Like last night with the debates, no one really spoke about the fundamental issues. And I'm not talking about whether or not one policy is better than the other. We are in an absolutely tectonic shift culturally, economically, and everything else. This is the bridge between two economies and two ways of going forward. We are finishing the cheap energy economy, and we have to build a bridge to the new economy, from carbon to clean. All these things have to happen. They're huge. No one wants to hear it. Almost no one wants to hear it. It's just, are you trying to tell me my way of life is going to be ruined forever? So if that's the landscape that you're speaking in, what can you say? Mm-hmm. Unless you're willing to say, you know what, folks, guess what? You're never going to have what you had before.
Yeah.
Who the hell wants to hear that?
And people don't have time for it. They're too focused on what they're doing now and what they have to do to, make ends meet tomorrow. To throw that at them.
Okay, but even making ends meet as a statement is something that everybody has to look at. What ends? We act as if we are dying in poverty in the middle class in Canada,
which we're not.
And we have the best situation in the world. Mm-hmm. So it's never enough. Mm-hmm. So if you live life materially, and that's the whole point of the exercise, then you buy a house, you go out on the porch on day 2 to get your newspaper, you look up at the house across the street and go, you know what, that one's actually nicer. Mm-hmm. You live in an entire context of inadequacy, because you can't sell people stuff if they don't think that they're inadequate at that moment.
There's no need.
You create need, and people think, I got a Lexus, but I should have gotten a Range Rover, because that's really rocketed. Range Rover, I should have gotten that Tesla, because then I'm really cool. And it never ends, so it's never enough.
Well, it's that thing about, I somehow just brought it up yesterday about how people, the brand identification economy is you buy things because of what it says about you, not that you really need it.
It's status, not
well,
material.
Yeah, and it's associated, whether it's an Apple, you have to have an iPhone, even if somebody tried to explain to you that it's not as good as another phone, you don't care.
Who cares?
Because you show it to show people, but it's the same with politics.
Right, so politics is a window. What do you put in the front window? What do you want people to remember, because they're not paying attention, they don't read deeply, they don't understand the issues at hand on anything more than a surface almost always. Like, I could convince you, if I say a statistic, I will win this argument no matter what. I will say to you, well, Fred, here's the thing. 53% of people say, and you now believe I'm telling you the truth, because I used a number.
Yeah.
So the political communications can be the sorcerer's work, right?
And where we're at, too, it's like the face of people. If I don't like Andrew Scheer, I don't like Justin Trudeau, it shades everything
that I look at in regards to that party and the policy.
Right.
If I don't like him, I don't want to like anything about them.
But politics is emotional, the way buying
Sure
a
it
house
is.
is emotional.
Mhm.
You're buying the biggest thing ever in your life. And Sandra Shamus used to have a bit about coming home with her husband Frank at the time after buying a house after a frenetic bidding war, and sitting on the edge of the bed and going, did it have a bathroom? Right? Because that's how emotional we get.
Yeah.
And politics is, what do I care whether I like this guy or I like this woman? I mean, it's not a beauty contest. This is policy-driven stuff. Like when you're in government, it's really about what can you get done. Look, the entire country is fighting over a stupid carbon tax that has absolutely no effect because you get a rebate for more than you get. Andrew Scheer goes out and lies, literally lies to people that they're what's his thing? It's time that you got ahead. Not us got ahead, you got ahead. So every party has an ideology fundamentally that drives its communications. It's a question of saying it in English or French in a way that people will actually go, oh, he's talking to my need. But the problem with us is that we're like in Wall-E, you know, the movie, we're the people sitting in those big chairs who are so huge we can't move anymore and are eating junk. Because that's the kind of society that we're building. It's not sustainable, and yet no one will talk about what's Plan B. So podcast I'm doing right now is Plan B. Right? What the hell is
Before we
Plan
get to your
B?
podcast, I want to just jump in and say, you know, one of the problems with a debate or commercials or people, as you call it, the drive-by media now is that we all have confirmation bias going into any situation.
Sure.
And so all we look for are things that confirm bias we already had. And it's
Right.
very hard for any politician on any side to convince you otherwise because you already kind of have a point of view and you're just looking for things that support it.
We also have a very mayonnaise-y kind of, you know, Miracle Whip attitude culturally. In the United States, say what you want about it. When you think about the different people who've been running in the Democratic primaries, or soon-to-be primaries, you're talking about really dynamic choices, right? Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, Jay Inslee, who was the governor of Washington who got out of the race. He had by far the best climate plan of anybody. Kamala Harris. I mean, you get really interesting characters. Ocasio-Cortez. I mean, this is dynamic stuff. The Green New Deal. Here, trying to introduce anything that's not reassuring is anathema.
Is that? Why don't we have as much varietals?
Well, it's the same thing that we have culturally, I believe, which is like when I did that big variety show. I thought, hey, we've arrived. And I thought, no, putz. We've not arrived. We are self-deferential. It's actually a nice thing about us, is that we're not so full of hype and crazy. So it flattens us out because we're, you know, a northern people, very spread out, not too many of us, and we defer. We still have the English colonial mentality in us that you don't do those kinds of things.
But politically, it's almost a sense of hopelessness, too, because, again, we flip governments here. It was Harper for 10, now it's been Trudeau for 4, and who knows where it's going to go, and what happened with the Liberals in Ontario. Nothing changes.
Because we're not
Nothing changes.
But we're not willing to do more than tweak a broken system.
Right.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So
Yeah.
knowing what you just said, that there's not as many, you know, different varieties of the same thing, how come there isn't a politician like a Trump, like a Bernie, that goes above, like, because we won't accept it, because we don't like that as a people?
That probably has something to do with it, but the other part of it is that we live in an extractive economy, right? Including the Americans. You extract resources. You extract labor from someone. But you know what was not talked about and is never talked about in this election? That no one seems to be able to point the gun the other way from the other parties and look at the corporate world and go, wages have not increased in real dollars in 40 years. In real dollars in 40 years, folks. That's what we're talking about. If you think to yourself, I'm not getting ahead, you're not imagining things, but it's not the government that's taking money out of your pocket. Taxes, I'll give you that example. People say, I don't want to pay taxes, they're taking my money. Okay, I'm driving my mother to the hospital 15 years ago, and she has chest pains. I'm driving and thinking to myself, I think this is going to be a heart thing because our family has tons of heart things. I'm never once thinking on the way to the hospital, how am I going to pay for this?
That's right.
Because you literally paid for it with me. Now, when your mother, God forbid, has to go to the hospital, I've got your back. That taxes are for things we can't afford to pay for by ourselves. A fire truck, I can't afford. Can't have my own fire truck. And yet, we're in this neoliberal world where there are winners and losers. Get out of the way of the winners, they'll take care of the losers. But if you ask for $15 an hour, hey man, I'm Loblaws, I can't afford that.
But when you talk about hopelessness, how does that change? Without the corporation saying, okay, we'll just go somewhere else.
Well, first of all, you got to be able to identify who's not actually paying the right thing to the right people. Then you have to have a circular economy. If I make a product, I'm responsible from it from cradle to cradle. Cradle to grave and then to cradle. So if I create something with black packaging, which they won't take because it's the same color as the conveyor belt, don't you think a government should be able to intervene and say, you're not allowed to do that. You can't make black packaging. It's more waste. We can't do it. You're not allowed to create packaging that means I sit around my house trying to sort my garbage. Why the hell am I sorting my garbage? Why are you giving me the garbage?
And you mentioned the corporate world, and that seems to be the third rail that no one seems to want to ever touch.
Because they'll leave.
Well, they'll leave.
Well, that's the threat.
Always.
And they're afraid to find out.
Right.
And the fact is, and you're as inside as, anyone at this table in terms of being around a political party as it's forming policy. But, I believe that there's the lobbying and the corporations and all of that are a separate party. They're their own government in some ways. They're their own.
They are the lobbyists. So you know how many visits the oil companies made to Parliament?
But I want to say this, that most of us at this level or around this, we're never going to have the access that those people
have to be. So there's a book that I just did an interview on a podcast for called The Making of a Democratic Economy, by a guy named Ted Howard and a woman named Marjorie Kelly in the United States. This guy has been in the business of democratically run businesses for 20 years. There are 10,000 of these businesses employing 10 million people in the United States at the present moment in time. Perfect example is you go to, so how do you create a business that means the money stays in a community? Extractive economy says, I put in a Walmart, I take all the money, and I leave.
Right.
You get paid the minimum I can pay you, and if you don't like it, there's 40 other people who can take your job. They start a laundry service for the ed, med, and government situation. Educational institutions don't get up and leave. Hospitals don't get up and leave, and governments don't get up and leave. They can't. There's no gun to the head. So what do? They make a pitch to do the laundry in Cleveland, now one of the 3 poorest cities, used to be one of the 5 richest cities in America, in one of the poorest neighborhoods, to do the laundry for a huge Cleveland Clinic health cluster, right? They now do 1 million pounds of laundry a year, employ 50 people, and are employee-owned. These things are never...
And pay them a fair living wage?
They own the company and they make money. Their last bonus was $5,000 in a neighborhood where the mean average income is $18,000 a year.
Well, and that's the other thing. The state of American cities is almost like a microcosm of what's coming down the road for the rest of them and us as well. But that extraction of the economy is the problem, because, as you say, you put a Walmart in a town, it puts all the other businesses that would have competed with the Walmart, they're out of business now, and the only people that make money are the employees. But there's a model. The Costco model seems different. They seem to take care of their employees differently.
To a degree, but they're still extracting almost the entire profit for a group of people. So the concentrations of wealth, yesterday they were talking about it on the debate on the inequalities, but they don't really discuss how we get there or how we get out of it. They just say
they don't have the answers.
Well, they can't give you an answer, because then you get to argue their answer.
Right.
In politics, the best thing to do is to either say something that can generally apply to the most people, or say nothing in a way that sounds like something.
Right.
Just get a little dramatic here, because we were having this conversation before you came on. You said it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
What we're going through right now. So what will when it doesn't sustain and it falls apart, what will it look like in your eyes?
Do you ever go to Miami?
Not really.
Well, if you did, in 15 years, there wouldn't be much of a Miami to go to. Any coastal city with we're talking about glacial ice melt.
Okay, I'm talking economics, not
but that
necessarily
is
the
economics.
Okay.
Like, this is what people don't put together. It makes me crazy. Do you realize how much it costs to mitigate disasters? Do you realize how much it's going to cost when an entire city collapses? Because, and what do I sound like? Some crazy person writing a Jerry Bruckheimer film.
Yeah.
Right? It's not crazy. It's real. We're talking about a mass extinction. We're already halfway through it. We're killing all kinds of species. We have a war on ourselves, a war on nature.
And the problem with the human beings on the planet is that we're divided. And I find this part incredible still. And we brought it up last week again. The idea that, you may not believe in climate science, or you may be against it, or for whatever reason you think it's going to be bad for business. But I call it the just in case campaign. Mm-hmm. Just in case.
Right.
Why not just in case?
Yeah, but that's not enough, is it?
No. Oh, no. But I'll tell you what. Versus nothing for a lot of people. Like, there's a whole industry.
It's not nothing.
There's a whole industry in the States that is, it seems like their job is to convince people there is no problem. Well, and then to what end, though? That's
because what would you rather believe? That everything that you thought and were told was worth doing in life is still worth doing. I'm going to make money. I'm going to make enough money to have... What's one of the biggest businesses in North America? Storage. Mm-hmm. Junk. Crap we don't need. Right? A constantly material approach. I fundamentally believe that our problem is spiritual. It is spiritual. We have two choices. We can either, Martin Buber used to write about this, I and thou. You can have a relationship with Fred that is I and it. What use is Fred to me? I'm at a party with Fred. Is he going to get me?
First of all, Fred's not at a party, but theoretically,
is he going to get me somewhere by having this conversation? If I hang around with you guys, am I going to get something out of this? I and it. You're an it. I and thou is, who are you? How is your family? What is it between us that makes us human beings? It's a spiritual conversation of sacredness of who we are as people, and what around us is also sacred. There's no gratitude for it. It's just never enough.
Okay, hold that. We got to take just a second here, and Ralph Benmergui is our guest. He's going to talk about his new podcast, Plan B. That's coming up here in a second. But first, we have to talk about the things that keep this thing going, which are people like the Chamber Plan.
Chamberplan.ca, Canada's #1 plan for employee benefits. You talk about going to the hospital or the dentist or something and not having to worry about the pay or how you're going to pay. The Chamber Plan, they can help you get there. Go to chamberplan.ca, get a free quote. It's group insurance and employee benefits enjoyed by 30,000 Canadian businesses. They've been around over 40 years. Health and dental insurance, travel insurance, all sorts of products under the umbrella. If you go to chamberplan.ca, get your free quote, do a little investigating, you'll see what they can do for your small company. Your employees will love it, believe me. And if you're an employee, tell your owner about it. Chamberplan.ca.
Very nice. And of course, our good friends at GigSky and supporting the brand new iPhone 11s with the eSIM service. Same plans available on the 10S, 10S Max, and 10R are all available on the new iPhone 11, including the World Plan, Regional Plan, and Daily Plans. This is fascinating. You can go from region to region, country to country. You've got your SIM with you, or if you want to still get the hotspot, coming soon for the Google Pixel eSIM customers. They have the GigSky app available in the near future. GigSky, go to humbleandfredradio.com or just click through gigsky.com. Ralph Benmergui, always an interesting conversation. You have decided, like a lot of people, it's time for podcast, Ralph.
Yeah, the ones that I've started doing and the ones I want to do more of are not for me. They're for other people. I'm doing one for an organization called Upstream, which looks at the social things that determine your health. So how does poverty affect health? How do these things? So it's an ideas thing. The format, I'm talking to a large union right now. I'm talking to different people about.
This is Plan B, it's called?
Yeah. So the idea is the first half of the podcast is what the problems are. And the second half is, okay, so if it's not working, what's plan B? Because I really believe that we end up sort of just bitching about things.
Yeah.
And instead, it's like, okay, so like that making of an democratic economy, that's real ideas. You can argue them all you want, but at least there's an idea of what the hell are we going to do if it isn't working the way it is. If people feel disassociated from their society, it's not about them anymore. It's about some fictitious life that they're supposed to have. Then what would work better? How do we bring dignity to work, for instance? People don't like their work quite often, and they don't feel loyal to their work because their work isn't loyal to them.
Right.
So it's all these issues, right?
It's a great format. You present an idea, and then you say, okay, what's plan B?
Right.
And this one that we're going to talk about, or you want to talk about, your recent guest, Leslie Davenport.
Yeah, so she was talking about something that I thought, what's one of the reasons why people can't talk about climate change? And one of the reasons is it's too big. You can't put your arms around it. Existential grief. Are you telling me that we actually aren't going to make it? I can't do this, so I'm going to I'm going to the mall.
That's right. I'm going to binge watch Fleabag season 2. That's what I'm up to.
That's right.
That's how I'm changing the environment.
That's right. I'm going to go hide in the cave because there's too many, raptors out here that are going to eat me. So, for this particular one, it was eco grief. That there are people who actually are getting very depressed and very anxious, and they bury it and carry on with their lives because they don't know what to do with it. There are now therapists and also communities, Facebook communities, where people actually come together once a week, and real communities where they come together and say, I've got, like me, I've got a 10-year-old, a 14-year-old, a 30-year-old, and a 33-year-old, and 2 granddaughters. And I'm thinking to myself, how can I just pretend this isn't happening when my 10-year-old, by the time the IPCC says we are toast...
What is the IPC?
The International Protocols on Climate Change. The UN that says we got 11 years left at this point before you really can't turn back. The disasters will just mount and mount. My kid will, if he's lucky, just have finished, a university degree. To what? To become what? In what kind of a society? You know what happens when catastrophic change happens? People get really ugly. So what are we doing? So these people get to sit and talk and support each other in the idea that, you're right, I'm really freaked out about this and I need to talk to
Do you think a lot of climate change denying is part of that? That maybe at a personal level, people that are invested in saying it's not happening is because of the belief that it's too much to think about. It's too much to ponder. So do nothing.
How many marriages have people sitting beside each other going, I don't think this is working, but I have no idea what I'm going to do about this, because if I blow this up, the whole thing blows up. So I'm not doing a thing about it.
And
same thing.
Yeah.
And between denier and totally buy in, there's a lot of different levels along the way, and I think.
But science is science.
No, I understand.
It's like gravity. You're arguing with gravity at that point.
But there's attitudes too. Like you're looking for government to solve the problem or other people to solve the problem. What can I do to solve the problem?
Okay,
not enough people are doing that.
Okay, we need to hold now. Phil, can I have you say goodbye to everybody? Ralph's going to come and we'll hang around a little bit longer for our podcast extra, just a couple minutes. Ralph Benmergui, where do we find the podcast?
This one's at thinkupstream.net.
Thinkupstream.net. Look for it. Philly, grab a mic. Just grab one.
Sure. Oh, sorry.
There you go, love.
Oh, thank you. This episode of Humble and Fred Radio is brought to you by...
thanks to Toronto Mike, of course.
FYI Music News, The Retirement Sherpa, Gig Sky, The Chambers Plan, Strain Print, Freedom Construction, Ringside MD, Clear Air Solutions, and our newest sponsor, CDN Technologies. We broadcast to the world from the worldwide headquarters of the Humble and Fred Show. More Humble and Fred tomorrow and online at humbleandfredradio.com.
Nice. I like that.
Honestly, that's why I said to Ralph, am I on? Because I couldn't hear it. It's weird.
You couldn't hear you?
No, it's just...
I hear it.
No, it's just all right, it's our podcast extra.
And no, just when I was talking there for a second, I'm like, we have a lot of stuff going on technically today that I'm going to try and fix, before my pancreas explodes.
What's with your pancreas? Why do you keep mentioning it?
I don't know.
I know.
I've been sick for a couple months. No one knows why. I'm getting some more tests done.
Unexplained weight loss.
Unexplained. I've lost like a bunch of weight.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I'm worried now.
Well, I want you to be.
I hear you.
It's all right. You can come back to the And Fred show.
My family will still get
touching.
A piece. Yeah, very touching.
Touching.
We'll just cut the top part off.
Well, last year when you were going through your terp thing, I was going Humberland.
Yeah.
We're getting older.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
But it's interesting, that idea of feeling grief and feeling overwhelmed and the human spirit being what it is. It's just the path of least resistance. That just, you describe, a lot of people in relationships. I've been in a marriage that ended. It's contemplating the end of something so big can almost give you pre-grief.
So,
like I remember feeling overwhelmed by the idea, even the thought of what am I going to, because you start thinking of ending a marriage or something that big and you just start thinking of all the tentacles. Well, I think a lot of people feel that way about climate because they're like, I don't know what to do.
You're ending your identity.
Yes.
That's the thing. It's and in climate change, I think that's a perfect tie-in because it's our identity and that's what he's saying is tied into this idea of I got this and now I'm going to get this and my kids are doing this.
So there's a guy who has a plumbing truck parks around the corner from my house in Hamilton. And he's got the red hat in his dashboard. It says "Make Canada Great Again."
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to talk to the guy because I think there's a certain violence in that kind of thing.
But he's an idiot.
Well, it's not an idiot. This is the thing I've learned in doing this work, is do not just decide that people are stupid or idiots. They're yearning for something.
Yeah.
And what he's yearning for is 1953. When he says great again, I'm thinking, which great again? The one 14,000 years ago when indigenous people got here? The one where the English and French got here? Which great again? The one, oh wait, I think I know. The white Christian 1953 great again is the one that you think that we're supposed to go back to. Well, we can't, but I hear that you need something, that you're going, we've lost everything that made us who we are. Right? These people who say, be Canadian. The guy who walked up to Jagmeet Singh at the Atwater Market in Montreal and said, cut your turban off and you'll be more Canadian. Well...
And that guy was an NDPer.
Yeah, and I sit there listening to that as a Jewish person. In another, tonight and tomorrow is the holiest day of the year, and I'll be wearing my kippah walking down the street, and people will have to say, oh, that's what a Jew looks like.
Yeah,
oh, that's what a Jew behaves like.
But that guy with the hat, Make Canada Great Again, he's looking for a confrontation too. He'll wear that and put it on, hoping somebody challenges him or asks him.
But why is he doing it? Because the idea of going forward into this change is too much for him.
Well, and Ralph and I think we've had this discussion a few times about the notion of change being scary on any level. And I take it back to one of the things I learned from going through the Alan Carr quitting smoking era of my life. And one of the things he said in that is people sometimes are afraid to change because they won't recognize who they are anymore. Even if it's a change that's a positive one. Right. Drinking, smoking, losing weight. A lot of people are tied to this behavior as their self-identity, even if it's killing them. And because you think, well, I'm a smoker. This is who I am. I'm a consumer. This is how we work. I want my kids to have this life. Obviously...
You got to identify what you loved about smoking to quit smoking well. You got to be able to go, what is it about this? It's self-loathing and I'm an idiot and why am I doing this? It made me feel a little dirty, a little rebel-y. It gave me space. Yeah. People who smoke...
That's right, it does give you space.
People get more fresh air who smoke than don't because they leave the office and go stand outside and smoke. But you talk to people.
Community.
Yeah, there's a community of smokers and you're all in it together. So then how do you replace those things with positive things that make you feel that you're part of community, make you feel that you're a little rebel-y? How do you do it? Right. So
how do you do it?
Yeah, but learn to not hate the other person. So in politics today, you have a lot of division and polarization because it's with you or against you, right? It's the Hatfields and the McCoys. But in reality, if you look through the policies, there's all kinds of places where people could meet. Dave Meslin just wrote a great book called Tear Down. Here's an idea. Imagine this. Everybody gets elected in 2 weeks from today. Everybody gets elected. They go to the House of Commons. They take a number out of a hat, which is their seat number. Just out of a hat, all of them. And now I'm a conservative sitting beside a liberal and a green. We're all sitting beside each other. We can't stand up like that horrible thing that Doug Ford's government was doing with Dean French in charge, where everybody stood up for every question and made a standing ovation, that mockery of democracy. Now you're all sitting together, and guess what? By the end of 2 months, we actually talk to each other.
Yeah.
We're friends with each other. That's what we need, is we have to find the things that bring us together, not the things that make us separate.
And on some level, it used to be that way. Governments could work together. Somebody won the election, and they worked together.
Well,
on some
minorities,
level.
what I want are minority governments, because I've worked in government, and the amount of power concentrated in one room with one elected leader and 3 people you've never met, who are
and your
running
job on the line.
and they're running the government. That's the kind of parliamentary democracy that so-called democracy we're in right now.
Okay, you're a smart guy. So tomorrow we're making drastic change to save the environment, to save the planet because of climate change. What has to happen tomorrow to actually take an abrupt move towards saving the planet?
First of all, I think you have to really design a bridge economy, a bridge politics, and say, I'm not telling you that you're fired, go away, we're never going to use oil again. It's how do we, in a dramatically forceful way, continue to reduce the things that are killing us and begin to increase the things that are going to help us and benefit us as we go forward. It's a weaving of policy. It's not, it's all over, let's move. Who the hell likes that? When I told my wife and kids we were moving to Hamilton, they were not pleased. It's just like, my wife was like, you better get this right. If you screw this up, if you've taken us someplace we don't want to be, I'll kill you. But I was resolute in that, but we went for a year to Hamilton. We drove there and looked around and found the right neighborhood and did the right things. So you have to be thoughtful. You can't be dictatorial. It won't work.
Yeah, because if all of a sudden you say to people, this way of life is ending now.
Tomorrow.
I actually thought, when you asked that question, I thought, well, my answer would have been some catastrophic. Something is going to happen.
That's how it's going to happen.
Something is going to happen of a catastrophic nature that might galvanize people to go, there's no denying this thing happened, because you can spin things. The internet's full of people that say, oh, but in 19 this and that, it used to be hotter. But if something catastrophic happens, that will be undeniable. Do you not think that would?
I'd love to think that. There's a guy named George Marshall who does climate communications for years in the UK. He's got a book called Don't Even Think About It. Try talking about climate change at a party if you want a buzzkill.
Oh, yeah.
But okay. So he says he goes and interviews people in the United States after major disasters. Hurricane Sandy, in New Jersey, things that decimate a town. Do any of them talk about the need to change their way of life? No. Every one of them talks about resilience. This is not going to defeat us. We're going to bounce back. We're tougher than this. We're going to have this.
Yeah.
And
so that's human nature.
And if it's deep south, God's often in the...
It doesn't matter where it is in the
equation.
world. People, after disasters, want to bounce back. They don't want to go, you know what, we can't do this anymore.
Well, it's the society we live in where 7 kids, I think, were killed because of vaping. And they want to ban vaping, but they won't ban guns.
To say nothing of the pharmaceutical companies that flooded the market with opioids, and 11,000 people in Canada are dead.
Okay, listen, Ralph Benmergui,
Mr. Bummer,
another fine appearance.
He's not coming to our house for a party.
Pass a good.
Not Ralph. Gamar Tov. Fast well.
Fast well, my friend. Are you fasting now?
Of course. Well, yes, of course.
Listen, everyone. Ralph Benmergui. What's this? Newsabbathproject.com.
Let's forget the New Sabbath Project for now.
Forget that for now. Barker, thanks very much. Toronto Mike, very nice. And Sean, we didn't have enough microphones. Sorry about that.
You'll have time tomorrow.
Sean was on his laptop the whole time.
Yeah, well, no,
He's on Twitch.
producing our Twitch feed.
Oh.
There's a whole bunch of people talking right now about everything they're watching.
Sean's got his own show happening, and
Yeah.
we'll be back tomorrow, everybody. Okay, so I'll talk. Can you hear me? I'll talk. I'm talking. Now you talk.
Testing one. Oh, yeah.
How the
That's
fuck
weird.
is that?
Oh, I see what you're saying, right?
Me. Everyone's. I can't even hear myself.
So that's
half
the
time.
mic, not the headset. Because I'm hearing it fine in the headset when I talk.
Yeah,
But
and
you
when
talk.
I talk, it's not. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Here, give me your microphone. Testing, guys. Just hang on 1 second. Testing 1 2 3. Testing.
Coming through one side of this too.
Well, that's not the.
No, what I'm telling you, with me, it comes through both sides. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, and with
you,
me,
it's not even coming through this side.
I gotta fucking. Like it's so weird. Testing 1 2 3. Testing.
You're only getting one side.
Check. 1 2
it's got
3.
nothing to